But that soundly you're thinking about is not that soundly, my friend. Soundly is like properly. Get and sleep.
It's like people saying, I slept like a baby. Babies. Hey.
Babies, when everything is okay, dry, full, and non-irritated. That's the kind of sleep you're looking for.
That's it.
Yeah.
Not any other
No. That sleep
short spots of sleep.
No. That long sleep, that is the one. Slept like a baby.
That's sleeping like a baby. Okay.
You're fine.
Me, I am fine.
Good.
I slept quietly. And deep.
Good.
And I had a good one. Woke up to no power in the house, and you know those things.
Kenya Power can do things to you sometimes.
You know those things. No power for about what now? That was about, I guess, something like 18 hours or so.
What? Why? What did you do to annoy Kenya Power?
You never know. You know, they just explain, in that region, I don't know what has happened, so our engineers are on site.
Okay. So that's the story. By the time you get home later, I'm sure it'll be back.
You're used to those kind of things, eh? Power just goes for 24 hours, 48 hours,
no
can be a week.
biggie.
It's okay. Say we are working on it.
It'll come back.
You reported? Do you
We
have a
heard the
reference
message.
number? Okay. That's what they. Do you have a reference number? Okay.
So long as you have a reference number. If you didn't have a reference number, they say, okay, there's something that can be done. Guess what will be done? They'll give you a reference
They
number.
give you a reference number.
Now you wait.
So now we have escalated this issue with our engineering team. Here's your reference number. That's it.
Finish.
Now sit back. We told you, Powell. You don't have to keep reminding us every 5 days.
We are aware. And the engineers are on the ground.
Yes. So
We will be
wait.
kept abreast of the situation.
No, power will come. They don't keep you abreast. Once you've reported with that reference number, that's it. That's the last communication that you
now
get
wait for
from
the lights
them.
to come on.
Yes. Now you wait.
And your power.
You know, that's the whole
efficiency
thing
in
of,
all things.
them sending you a message to remind you, right? So your matter has been... The engineers have now arrived and they've identified the fault and they're working on it. You know, there are companies that have that kind of, customer service. They just keep updating you where you are. Sort of just makes you feel relaxed. But you can imagine if Kenya
Except
Power
it's
to
the
do-
bank and they've misplaced your money. Then they just don't talk to you at all. Until you go there and raise hell.
Really? How does a bank misplace your money?
Sometimes some money can be missing then. Or you do a transfer and it doesn't
Can you
show
keep
up.
your money in a safe deposit box?
You do a transfer and the money doesn't show up. Doesn't show up, or it was deducted and does not reach its destination and they have to do a trace. That is when you cry. Kenya Power alone, man. For your 3,000 shillings.
Okay.
Can't find it.
That would be a very horrendous experience. Welcome to the show, everybody. Today we have some conversations to have. This week, basically, is the Corona Commemoration Week. A year since COVID-19 was declared in the country. Remember last year, on the 13th of March 2020, Health CS Mutahi Kagwe, Health CS Mutahi Kagwe
A week old.
said, and then said we have our first corona patient, and then that was on Friday, and then the Sunday the president drove to Harambee House. Even his security guys had the number plate of the car upside down. It was that kind of an emergency. And that's when the president now announced the first measures, which was saying that schools are going to be closed and calling for a reduction in number of people in public transport and all. So we're looking at all those things. Now we are experiencing a third wave. So first wave was around that time. Second wave was around November. And this second wave of November was explained by the opening of measures, the easing of measures around July. So people are now allowed to travel more. So we got a third wave peaking in November. Then we know what happened in December. People were traveling, schools reopened. So because of all that activity, it's now peaking at this point. And we are getting the highest numbers since November last year. Mutahi Kagwe has said we are officially in a third wave of this. And let's buckle up and prepare for some turbulence, but don't worry, If we do everything that we're supposed to do, we'll get over it. So we'll discuss that.
Yep.
And among other stories, let's take a look at what else is happening. So what are the numbers now?
All right. So yesterday, things took a pretty interesting jump. 479 cases were recorded on the 9th of March. On the 10th of March, 713 new cases in Kenya and 12 new deaths. If we're looking at a surge, if we're looking at increase in numbers, this is exactly where we are. Coming out of the Ministry of Health yesterday, we also heard what some choose to call a bombshell. City ICU facilities are now full. Mutahi Kagwe yesterday has warned against the rising COVID-19 infections and special reports that are being put out there. So we know that cases are definitely rising. And because of this, I think now people are a little bit more anxious. He yesterday said that of the 713 people that had tested positive, is making it the highest number of confirmed cases since last December. So the latest statistics, the highest positivity rate at 14% compared to Monday's 11.8%. 563 patients are admitted to hospital, while 1,588 are on home-based care. 89 patients are currently in ICU, the highest number witnessed in the third wave. So this had been predicted, according to Kagwe. We knew that the numbers would rise come March. So the health ministry is recommending approval by a stringent agency for the vaccines now, and they're saying that they've established an independent and safety monitoring board to advise on the vaccination program. So that information will be given to Kenyans in good time in terms of then what will happen with that. But in terms of third wave, we are in it right now. ICU facilities full as the third wave then hits the country. All right, so as we continue to look at coronavirus cases around the world as well, let's look at global numbers now and what they have hit. 118 million is what we're looking at. 118,630,045. The highest, the country with the highest cases in the world still remains the US, 29,862,124. Just going back to Kenya and the rest of the world, yesterday we also saw the release of the list of countries then that would be allowed into Kenya without mandatory quarantine. There are quite a number.
Everyone.
Yes, everybody. And there are only 6 countries on the globe that have to have mandatory quarantine when they come into Kenya. And I think it's Bahrain, Thailand, Switzerland, Belarus. I mean, something like that. So everybody else, basically, you can come in so long as you have a negative CPR test certificate. You don't have to go into mandatory quarantine. So that's what we're looking at now. India is at 11,284,311 cases with 158,000 deaths. Let's look now at Brazil. Brazil now, unfortunately, is the third in the world. 11,205,972 cases with 270,917 deaths. The COVID surge has reached a new level with daily deaths now surpassing 2,000. Infection rates are soaring. They've exceeded 2,000 COVID-related deaths in a single day for the first time. It has the second highest death toll in the world behind the US, with now the 270,000 fatalities. Experts are warning that the transmission rate is made worse by more contagious variants. So they're saying that not just this second variant that has been found, but there could be many more in Brazil that are infecting people, and this is the problem. So people are getting infected within a very short period of time, then symptoms come in, and unfortunately death has a higher imminence than before. So former leader Luis Inácio Lula da Silva hit out at President Bolsonaro's stupid decisions being made during the pandemic, and everybody's now saying, you know what, this is ridiculous. Why are we at this point where we are at now? We saw things rise steadily, but now we're seeing sharp rise of infections. Bolsonaro, by the way, wore a mask for the first time in a month on Wednesday. He's been downplaying the threat that has been posed by COVID. Earlier this week, he told people to do what? Stop whining. He told people, stop whining. What's the problem? We're dealing with this thing as best we can. So the largest cities in terms of their hospitals are under immense pressure, with many close to collapse. Brazil's leading health center, Fiocruz, has warned. A doctor and a researcher at the Fiocruz said that we're at the worst moment of the pandemic. 2021 is still going to be a very, very hard year. So Brazil is really taking this one very hard. 2,000 deaths a day, it's not a joke.
That's a very high number of people dying every single day. And we're not talking about it ever letting up.
No.
For the past 1 year.
No. And if anything, it has gotten worse. When everybody was at least trying to put measures in place to deal with this thing, Brazil kind of stepped back. And when we say Brazil, we're talking about the government, unfortunately, in this case. And so this is a tough one, really, really tough one. Okay, so not just in South Africa, not just in parts of the continent, but also the UK now is dealing with the false vaccine export ban that's being claimed by the EU. The UK has rejected this and said, impossible. How? False vaccine coming out of the EU? It cannot, or the UK, it cannot happen. So the European Council, Charles Michel, said it had applied all vaccines and components produced in the UK. A diplomatic row has broken out between the EU's top official and has claimed that the UK has imposed an outright ban on the export of COVID vaccines. So there's a tiff going on right now in terms of what is fake, what is real, and still dealing with issues of vaccine nationalism.
So COVID vaccines being manufactured in the UK are not being allowed to leave the UK?
Yes.
To other European countries?
Yes, because there's the suspicion that they could not be authentic.
Who's suspecting that they are not
EU.
authentic? But then why is the EU deputy ambassador to the UK? What did you just say? That the EU was complaining that the UK has
the EU's top official claimed the UK has imposed an outright ban on the export of COVID vaccines. They've applied this to all vaccines and components produced in the UK, right?
Okay.
The Foreign Secretary described the suggestion as completely false. The EU's deputy ambassador to the UK was summoned to the Foreign Office for discussions. But they've said that there will be no further comment on the meeting at this stage. The argument over vaccines comes with European leaders under pressure over the slow distribution of jabs. In the UK, meanwhile, 22.5 million people have received their first dose.
22.5 million?
Yes.
Oh, okay. We're also doing well. We are at 5,000.
You're talking about Kenya now? Okay.
Okay, soon we'll be there. So it's not the EU that's accusing the UK of either manufacturing or sending them fake vaccine. It's the UK that is seemingly imposing this sort of restriction on vaccines leaving the country to go to European countries so that they can use them.
They can use them for their own population.
Okay. There was another story there. Just go back to the main page of the story of the BBC website. What's that? The man with COVID super antibodies.
Oh, right. So there's this gentleman. He was in the news a couple of weeks ago, actually. And it said that, he's been exposed to the virus very many times. He's never gotten it. People around him have gotten COVID. They've fallen sick. He's actually been in their presence, never gotten it. So apparently he's being called the man with super antibodies. His name is John Hollis. He didn't realize he had been infected with COVID-19, but later discovered he's one of the rare people with super antibodies. They're so good at killing the virus that he's practically immune to the disease.
Wow.
Right. So they've been studying him for some time. And it turns out that this guy, no matter what,
this guy needs security.
They're going to look for him and try to remove something from him and test it in a lab somewhere.
Well, People
Right?
can take him to a lab. Others can just, arrest him and harvest his hey, what?
Something, yeah.
A guy needs protection. Well, keep it right here. We will be looking at the newspaper headlines shortly. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. The live stream is up. SpiceFM KE on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. We'll be saying hello to you shortly. Say hello to us. Let's first look at the weather. Good morning.
(24/7) around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
The realest and craziest couple are now on your screens. Terrence and Chebi are bringing you top celebrities and trendsetters on Thursday Night Live. It's double the fun and double the laughter every Thursday at 10 p.m. on KTN Home.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Japan biotechnology, yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered.
The weather
All right,
with Spice
so this
FM.
morning in Nairobi, we're looking at mostly clear conditions. When the sun does come up, it'll go to highs of 28 today and lows of 14. Clear conditions in Nyeri at 12, highs of 26 and lows of 11. We'll see highs of 30 in Nakuru today. It's clear at 14. It's also clear in Eldoret at 13, highs of 26 and lows of 12. And it's clear in Kisumu at 19, highs of 32 today. The highs will also be 32 in Kakamega. It's clear at 18. Mostly clear conditions in Mombasa now at 32 the high and lows of 25. We'll see highs of 31 in Malindi, partly cloudy right now at 26. It's mostly clear in Kampala, highs of 30 and lows of 18. Mostly clear in Dar es Salaam, going to highs of 33 and lows of 26. Johannesburg is clear at 18, highs of 29 and lows of 15. Mostly cloudy conditions rule the skies in Lagos at 27, highs of 33 today, highs of 32 in Kinshasa. It's raining this morning at 24. It's a hazy morning, or rather afternoon, in Beijing at 14. It'll go to highs of 15 today and lows of 6. Cloudy conditions in Paris. High winds as well throughout the morning. 14 the high and lows of 5 today. It's mostly cloudy in London at 12, highs of 11 and lows of 5. And still Wednesday night in New York, it's cloudy at 7. It'll go to highs of 12 and lows of 5.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done
Right at 20 minutes.
94.4.
This is Kenya's biggest conversation, and very many people are already online.
All right, so greetings from Kangunda Road, and that's Victor this morning, says hello. Robert Mbogo tuned in from Mombasa. Adero Mike says, good morning, the best way to start off your morning. Yes, Karibu Sana, County 042, well represented. I know you know where that is, Eric.
Yeah, it's 42.
Okay. Okay, well done. Nicholas Lagat says, good morning, guys, tuning from Kericho. Waterman Jeffrey and the people in his neighborhood survived a tornado this evening. That's our morning, right? So,
Where is that?
in
Minneapolis?
Hennepin County in Minnesota in the US.
Well,
So somehow they're able to get through that and are alive and kicking this morning. C'est bon, n'est-ce pas? Huh? It's good.
Okay. Meanwhile, okay. So who else? All those people are online.
Yes, everybody's online saying good morning, guys. Karibuni sana. Ali Tonix says good morning and locked in till the end. Great to have you guys on board. Good morning, everybody. Let's kick things off.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in this morning. So, today's proverb. Today's proverb is, there is often the look of an angel on the devil himself. There is often the look of an angel on the devil himself.
No way. Okay.
The devil will come to you
Looking like an angel.
looking like an angel. Remember that thing of sheep in wolf's clothing? Or the other way around?
Yeah, right. Wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yes. That's similar to that.
Kind of like that is what you're looking at.
Kind of.
There's always the
there's
look.
often the look of an angel on the devil himself. Let's look at the headlines.
Okay, so both we're looking at the Nation and the Standard, and front stories. What ails Raila is an issue still on this today. Fatigue, tests, rests, monitoring, investigations. These are the words doctors used to explain ODM leader's condition yesterday after he was admitted to Nairobi hospital. After a grueling campaign, his doctors performed various tests once he walked into hospital Tuesday, including one on COVID-19, and he was advised to rest. By last night, he was still undergoing tests and close monitoring, and the doctors said that he was in high spirits. His elder brother, Raila Odinga, said that he doesn't have any pains on the chest or any cough or anything like that. It was just general fatigue and the body, and some joint pains. That is what I could see. But I am not a doctor, then he goes on to say. So just looking at details of the story, look, he's undergoing tests. If the fellow is tired from the last few weeks of physical exertion, then he'll rest and he should be okay. You know?
Okay. So it even got to a point where the doctor had to release a statement. And this is
speculation was rife.
David Oluochalunya, who says Odinga walked in for routine medical tests at Nairobi Hospital on the 9th of March after feeling some fatigue. He has had a rigorous campaign and he needed to have some checkup. It was carried out successfully. We are continuing to monitor his condition, and no doubt he'll be able to address the country in due course. He is in good spirits. Mm-hmm. That's it. That this is what he's going through. And the Nation is saying that he's out of danger. And the families are laying fears. Okay. So it's a good thing to hear that he is...
he's all right.
He's all right. He's all right. And we wish him a quick recovery. And maybe what he now needs to think about is that overexertion. He had gone for an operation last year. And it was a back operation that kept him out of the country for a couple of weeks. Now, maybe... his family and his close friends and associates just need to keep reminding Baba that you're at this point, man.
Rest.
Yeah. Do not overexert yourself.
Don't
do
behave
it.
like it's 20 years ago where you had more energy.
Yes, don't do it.
Yeah.
Having 5 days of a grueling campaign on the coast, and then this happens to him. Now you can imagine as we get closer and closer to the referendum, closer and closer to next year. And he wants to show that he is able to campaign. See, that's the other thing. It's going to be a tight one.
It will.
A tough decision for him to make. The Nation also, on the front page, says that university students are starving because the Treasury has not given money to HELB so that HELB can send them money, them being students. Thousands of students are starving in universities because the Higher Education Loans Board is yet to disburse funds for their upkeep. The state is holding on to some 6 billion shillings in student loans. This is 3.7 billion for university and 2.3 billion for those in TVETs. To make ends meet, some students have turned to hawking and other small businesses to fund their stay in campus. Others who are broke are going without meals, and they are then skipping lectures and classes.
What's the problem? Getting this money out there. They applied, it was approved. What's the problem?
The money is the problem.
It's not coming from Treasury.
The money is the problem. The money is not available.
So they avail it, Abi?
Yeah. There are reports that some students had fainted in class, prompting the university's Dean of Students at Moi main campus in Kasese. The Dean of Students issued a memo urging students in dire need to register for the institution's assistance. In the memo dated March 8th, the Dean of Students, K.S. Ayeko, said the administration is concerned that some students are going without meals. This is to request all students to send details of anyone who is starving to the Dean of Students through class reps and student leaders. By the time it gets to a point where an entire university is noticing, okay, there's something wrong, people are not even being able to come to class, then it's a big issue.
For sure.
It's a very big issue. So, at Jomo Kenyatta University of Science and Technology, students are unable to write exams as their portals cannot be opened due to fee balances. Academic Registrar Dr. Agri Wanyama sent a memo to students to clear the fees balances, failure to which they will not sit exams.
Okay, so how do they clear the fee balances if that which they applied for has not come through? Then how are they supposed to do this exactly?
You see, that office has to operate like he doesn't know yet. You have to come and let it know that this is what we are going through. then that conversation can then be had.
Okay,
It
so then,
appears that we haven't gotten to that point where students, maybe through their leadership, have not gone to the university administration to say, this is what is happening and these are the challenges that many of us are facing, so that this conversation can happen between the VCs and the registrar.
okay, so now that they know, now that they know,
Once they know,
they don't know yet.
they don't know yet.
They
That's what
don't
I'm
know
saying.
that there's no money.
That's why you'd find the academic registrar writing to them, telling them, clear
Pay
your
your
fees.
Okay.
So once they cross to that point, I think this is a call on the student leadership in JKUAT to go ahead and report this formally and kickstart that conversation. So what can we do? Can we be allowed to sit the exam? Once HELB releases the money will come to you.
Yeah. Which I think is the only way to go about this right now.
Yep.
Because by the time, look, these applications were not made in the middle of the semester. Most applications for help and HELB come before that particular semester starts. You're approved, and it is on that you register for your classes, knowing that this financial assistance is coming through. It's not the other way around. You don't register for your classes if you know that you don't have the money. Your school also knows that you're a HELB candidate, right? And they know that your tuition and everything else is going to be paid as a result of the assistance that you're getting from HELB.
Yes.
Now, in the event that does not happen, it is clear that the reason why I have not paid is because my HELB money has not come through. I think the only way to deal with it is to know, okay, this money will
It's
come.
not clear until you make it clear. Until you say it.
This money will come from HELB. Allow them to sit their exams. It's not their fault.
It's not clear until you make it clear. There have been all this talk of does HELB send the money directly to the institution, especially the academic part of the
Or
money,
to the students.
or to the student. And there has been a lot of back and forth. I'm not sure where it has reached now. HELB releases 4,000 per semester to the students' university fees account. Yes, well, the balance is for their personal upkeep. So it goes to the fees account, the students' fees account. So you can clearly see that this money has not come.
Hasn't come, man.
But you see, the conversation is not between me and HELB. HELB does not send me money. I can't go to HELB. I, as a university, cannot write to HELB and say,
Why haven't you
brought the money? Because I don't know. I don't know whose fees whose loan you've approved and how much.
So it has to be the students coming to the school administration and saying, HELB has not released money yet.
Yes. Yeah. As you can see, I have qualified for this and HELB has not done this, and let's have this conversation. Let's take a break at this point. 6:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It is the Situation Room. We're looking at the newspaper headlines, and shortly we'll be looking at what's happening on the roads this lovely Thursday morning. Is it already getting backed up on Mombasa Road?
Yep.
Usual suspects.
Yep.
Doing the usual things.
Endless traffic.
Let's hear about that shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your 24/7 around the world non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Japan, biotechnology, yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered. Mention our course, you will not fail to get it. Visit our website today on www.studyinjapan-africa.com.
Yes, it is a problem this morning already on Mombasa Road. People are opting for the train, but it can only take so many. Everybody else on the roads this morning, SGR through till Cabanas is bumper to bumper. All right, let's take a look into Mombasa, where the Kenya ferry services are saying four ferries serving you this morning at MV Mlikoni and Mtongwe Channel. Remember, pay your ferry toll charges via M-Pesa and adhere to COVID-19 protocols. That's a reminder that's coming from the Kenya Ferry Services this morning. If you're in Mombasa, know that you cannot pay for the toll with cash. You have to do this via M-Pesa. Tafadhali, don't forget. All right, let's look at Kiambu Road. It's already building up as you're then trying to join the Thika Superhighway into the CBD. It's looking slow this morning. We're not at a crazy situation just yet. Let's keep an eye on things, however, and see how this may change. Construction going on in certain parts of the city is going to slow things down a bit. Let's keep an eye open for that, and we'll keep you abreast of the situation. You talk to us as well. Let us know you're stuck somewhere and things that we can share in terms of information. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Spice FM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Mornings. 77. What headline are you looking at?
Okay, so teachers' vaccination exercise starts today. So teachers are amongst the frontline workers, right?
Yep.
The exercise that will take place at the TSC head office comes 2 weeks to the start of the national examinations, in which more than 200,000 teachers are expected to take part. So the TSC at the front line of this to make sure that they're complied with everything. Mass vaccination of teachers against COVID-19 around the country will start today with the official launch at the TSC headquarters in Nairobi. Ministry of Health officials and TSC senior staff will take part in the exercise. Reps of the Kenya Primary School Heads Association and the Kenya Secondary School Heads Association will witness the exercise. When the government announced plans to roll out vaccination, the KEMSA chairman, Johnson Zioka, proposed that old teachers and those with underlying conditions be given priority. So he had said that they'd lost members due to the coronavirus, and that has continued to ravage the education sector and the country at large. He said that there were 30,000 managers who should be next in line, arguing that the heads interact with teachers and other stakeholders, such as parents, suppliers, and random members of the school community, not to talk of the children. All right, so this starts today. I think it's a good thing. We have exams coming up in a couple of... Well, exams have already started.
Yep.
So we have the normal term exams and then the grade 4 assessment also going on. But then we're also looking at what is still the KCPE and the KCSE. So I think actually it's a good thing that this starts now. So it's going to be heavy interaction.
So teachers,
over the next couple of weeks.
Teachers and security officers are starting now.
Yes.
About 4,000, 5,000 healthcare workers so far vaccinated, and it's still ongoing. Okay, so all those things that we were saying, the jitters about information and clarity on when and how, are those being addressed?
No. Look, right now where we are is let's vaccinate people and move on.
So
this thing that people are looking for information, or is it going to give me any kind of adverse
people who need to know will know. This is the day for your vaccination and this is where you're getting it.
That's it.
Maybe what we should be asking is, at the end of the exercise or towards the end of the exercise, how many should have been vaccinated? How many were? How many maybe were not? And why? It is voluntary. Is it because they did not know?
Yeah.
And then also the monitoring and monitoring of the process and the side effects. If you develop side effects, do you know what to do? Do you know where to go?
I'm hoping that once you're getting the jab, that they're telling you, if you experience this 1, 2, 3, so that the person who is actually giving you the jab is giving you that quick pack of information. If you get a fever, temperature, do this. If it worsens, visit hospital, but you should be fine. If you don't see anything within 3 days, carry on with your life. I'm hoping that as you get your jab, you get that little bit of information.
And also that you expect to fall sick. You expect that once you get the jab for the next 2 or 3 days, you are going to feel something.
Yeah.
And that will be okay. So don't
panic and think, okay, they injected me with COVID.
Yes.
Which they kind of did, but okay.
Okay. So the National Treasury is planning to take a fresh Eurobond to repay the old Eurobond. This is the plan. According to Public Debt Management Office Director General Harun Sirima, the government wants to tap the international markets for funding as part of an ongoing debt restructuring plan. According to Dr. Sirima, retiring the expensive debt would give the government some breathing space by reducing the interest repayment pressures. So what they're doing is restructuring, seeing how can we get concessionary loans that then replace these expensive loans that we have. And if they don't get those concessionary loans, then they'll go to the commercial markets again and do something called debt rolling over. So the rolling over of Eurobonds is a debt strategy where instead of repaying the principal when a loan falls due, a country decides to enter into a new agreement with the lenders to give it a new loan to repay the old debt. Though it's a common mode of refinancing debt, it comes with a cost risk where the new loan comes at a higher rate, thereby forcing the borrower to pay more in interest repayments. So that will be like, that option. If we are not able to get concessionary loans where we actually are able to get cheaper sources of money, we'll go to the lenders and tell them we are due to pay you, to start paying you for Eurobond. Now do this.
Give us some more.
Instead of repaying the loan, give us some more. Let's get into this sort of rolling over. That is going to be
it's a mess. Let's just call it that. There was a reason why you were not able to pay the first one. Do you realize that? So now going to get the second one, you're compounding the issue. Things are being made worse. The reasons as to why the first one could not be paid was clearly because there was none to pay it. That there were other things that took priority for whatever money then was available, whatever funds were available to sort this out, right? So you're coming and you're saying, okay, because of circumstance 1, 2, 3, I was not able to fulfill this.
Yep.
But the way for me to be able to figure it out is give me some more and then we can spread this payment over time. Likelihood of it being higher in terms of percentage of interest, we can understand that. But it's okay. We can accommodate it. Just allow me.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
It's getting tighter. And I think the thing that we can do is if the government can get into, according to Ukuri Atani, we are unpacking our loan portfolio. The multilateral loans are okay. The concessional loans are okay. But we are now looking at how to deal with these commercial loans.
The commercial loans with the high interest.
So if the other two options, if we are not able to secure more multilateral loans or concessional loans, then we may have to now look at how to roll over this commercial debt. Remember the story of Zambia and the maturity of its Eurobond and getting to a point where they had to have some tough conversations.
Okay.
As that happens, the nation has a story here that says that Kenya is going to face revenue and job losses after the ratification of the UK trade deal by Parliament.
Okay, how?
So, according to Econews Africa, that's been quoted in this story, a think tank that advises governments on economic matters, the expected revenue losses will be tragic to the country that's already in economic doldrums. This is notwithstanding that MPs have already approved the budget policy statement for 2021 that provides mechanisms for government expenditure. Custom duty on products from the UK will have to go down at the coming into force of the EPA. How has the government committed to accounting for this in the budget? This comes into force immediately. The products whose duty will be lowered or eliminated include chicken, pork, virgin oil, zinc oxide, vegetable seeds, motor and aviation spirits, zinc peroxide, crude oil, petroleum oils, fats of sheep or goats. Others are sulfate of aluminium, flat-rolled products of iron or non-alloy steel, oil or petroleum filters for internal combustion engines, electronic thermic coffee or tea makers for domestic use, toasters, smart cards, wire and cables.
Okay.
So all those things are going to attract lower duty into the country. So these ones are saying, okay, now for that reason, would you
Yeah, because it's coming from somewhere else at a very low rate.
Yeah,
right?
and
flood the market essentially.
Yes.
And then they'll, in terms of competition for your local industry, it's giving high competition, because it's clear that whatever is being produced locally is going to be at a higher price. And what do you think people are going to choose when it comes to purchase? Buy Kenya and it's more expensive?
The whole issue here about this UK trade deal, it needs to be unpacked. And the best people to unpack this are the government. The experts at the Ministry of Trade who participated in basically drafting this deal needs to be just let go by the government and told, go and explain this to the people. Go and meet the various sectors. Go and meet, for example, with these people, with the Econews and the others. Go and have conversations with the Private Sector Alliance. Go and have conversations with Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Go to the media. Explain to the people, this is what the deal says.
Right.
And these are the benefits that we stand to gain. And this is the cost that we have to pay for us to enjoy those benefits. Because it doesn't just come like it's all benefits one way. There's something that we have to compromise. So these are the compromises we had to make so that we can get these gains. Explain to people. And people may just get to a point where they understand. They're like, all right. So I'm okay with that.
It's unfortunate that, the culture
If
has...
toaster is going to come here and it's going to be cheaper,
Let me know.
it's fine. Cables are going to come. So what's that going to do to the local manufacturers of cables?
The culture has never been to communicate things like this, except when the people are being asked to do something. And I think we keep going back to the example of when the currency was changing. The government wants you to change. That information is going to be in your ear, in your face, until the time that it needs to stop. But then look at something that directly affects the spending power and ability of Kenyans. Directly. And then even look at entrepreneurs and look at other business people in the country who deal in local industry. How is it going to affect them? Who, again, are being told constantly that the survival of the economy rests on your shoulders.
On your shoulders.
How are you going to compete?
You need to know those shoulders. But also at the same time, more importantly, is let's understand all the opportunities that come
are
with
available.
this deal.
Yeah, because truth be told, you could look at the deal and the first thing that you see is that there's something wrong here in terms of how it's going to affect local industry. But the truth of the matter is that there could be very many things that
There are
Kenyans
very
could benefit
many opportunities
from.
that are here. And if people don't know, then we don't take advantage of those.
Exactly.
And those need to be explained and completely well unpacked and said. So, for example, you have access, Kenyan products have access to this and the other. If it's only going to allow for raw material to go to the UK and not processed, if processed is going to attract duty, let's know. So we know, okay, so in the UK we are sending raw material, but this is how we can take advantage of that. Let us know anyway. I think it's very important that you have a point of complete public awareness campaigns being conducted. We're talking about public awareness. Now let's talk about this awareness of the golf tournaments that are going to be taking place in the country in coming days. So from the 18th of March to the 21st of March, we're going to have the magical Kenya Open. This is not all. In a couple of days later, from the 23rd of March to the 26th of March, we'll have another European Tour, Kenya Savannah Classic. So, this is basically saying that we're going to have a double header in the form of two back-to-back international golf tournaments on Kenyan soil, both taking place at the Kenya Current. So the magical Kenya Open was postponed last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In line with the European Tour's guidelines on safety, both of these tournaments will now have to be played in a bubble, which means that the staff and the players will not be allowed to interact with the public, which means that there will be no spectators at the current country club, which means that now you need to watch this and follow this online. The Standard Group has basically just decided, let's come in. And that's why the Standard Group will now have this being live stream, live broadcast on KTN and KTN Home. And also live streaming on our Standard Digital platform. Both events are supported by Safaricom, Vulcan Wireless, Copycat, the Sports, Arts and Social Development Fund, Current Country Club, Johnny Walker, Keringet, and Hemingway's collection. In the meantime, grab a copy of the Standard newspaper or follow us on the digital platforms to find out who will come out on top of the Safari Tour and gain the right to represent Kenya at both the magical Kenya Open and the Kenya Savannah Classic. Taking place back-to-back in Karen later this month. Good morning. It's 13 minutes to 7. Let's take a break.
24/7 around the world non-stop. This is Spice FM. Spice FM.
Hey, it's getting hot in here. The media has greatly contributed to the moral rot that we experience in this country.
I remember a senior politician telling me, point blank, nobody steals in the field, it's stolen in the granary. So my friend, if you're going to win an election, jipange kwa granary.
I think we are suffering from Stockholm syndrome. Our violator and abuser is also our redeemer in our mind.
The whole political class, the whole political institution is rotten. It is based on ideals that cannot progress our country forward.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Okay, 12 to 7, we're looking at more headlines. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room, broadcasting on Spice FM, online, Spice FM KE, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. In the room with you this morning is Eric Latif, and Nduoko, our colleague CT Muga, is away. There's a woman who has been sentenced to 1 day in a non-custodial sentence.
Yes.
1 day because of killing her husband.
I didn't miss it. I didn't get that story.
You didn't get it? So this is what happened.
Did he do so? Okay.
This is what, let me tell you the story. Okay. So we're talking about a woman called, a woman charged with slashing her husband to death in defense has earned her liberty in a plea bargain deal. What is the name of the woman? The woman is called Trufena Ndonga Aswani. So this is what happened, okay? So Trufena was married to this gentleman, and the gentleman his name is Obochi. Let me give you the full name of the gentleman. It's right here, Jared Obochi. So Jared Obochi married Trufena, and the parents of Jared Obochi had given the family some piece of land. Jared is apparently a drunkard, an alcoholic. He'd always just go out, drink, come home and raise a fracas, beat the wife. He's basically just a violent man when he's drunk. So in fact, the father of Jared had given the Trufena the title deed to a piece of land and said, this is for your family. This is the inheritance, but I don't want to give it to Jared because I know if I give it to Jared, he's going to sell this piece of land. So you keep it in safe custody. This one day, Jared comes home, high as a kite, eats, and then starts telling Trufena, bring that title deed. No, she says, no, I'm not giving it to you. No, this is our piece. I mean, where are we going to go? No, bring that title. Gets a panga. Wants to come and slash her. But before he does that, Trufena overpowers him, takes the panga and slashes him. He dies. Trufena takes his body and goes and hides it in a thicket, in a bush, in a neighbor's compound about 200 meters away. Body is discovered later. Trufena is arrested. Trufena is taken to court and charged with the murder of her husband.
Yes.
And in court she says, I'm guilty. But, Your Honor, I was doing that in self-defense. This man has been beating me up, has been abusing me for long. The court ordered that, first of all, she has to undergo the mandatory psychiatric test because she's facing a murder trial. And then the court entered. They were like, this was not unequivocal. She said, I'm guilty, but. So we are entering a plea of not guilty on record, despite her saying guilty. But now they had a conversation. There was a plea bargain. That charge was reduced from murder to manslaughter. And she pleaded guilty to the charge of manslaughter. The court, according to Justice Roslyn Aburili, said, okay, we hear you. You have pleaded guilty to the charge of manslaughter, but it is in self-defense clearly. You have lived in an abusive relationship for very long. For that reason, we are only sentencing you to 1 day non-custodial sentence. And in fact, the court is committing to give you money to move, traveling expenses to move away.
Sheesh.
We are going to give you that. And the judge goes on to advise people who are in this kind of abusive relationships, walk away now. Run for your lives. Both women and men who are abused, there is no love that can never be lost. Yet love should never be lost by killing one another. Find an escape route to safety. Do not condone violence being meted on you. That is according to Justice Roslyn Aburili. This was a landmark ruling because basically what the judge and the court is saying, you are in an abusive relationship, walk.
Walk away.
Walk now.
I knew there had to be something when you said one day.
Let's not get to this point. Let's not get to this point where you actually are killing somebody. Just walk away now. And you, Trufena, we hear you. You have undergone a lot. If it was the other way around, according to the judge, if this man had actually succeeded in taking that panga and slashing you, would never have heard the story that you're telling us of the kind of abuse that you had gone.
Yes. When you think about that.
Yeah. And for that reason, she's free.
I think it's a bold move, and I think it's a justified move, because I think the number of people who are trapped within this whole thing of domestic sexual abuse and violence is major, and there are people who wish they had an out. But I mean, if you can hear that, is a message not just to Trufena, but then a message to other people who are stuck in something like this. Come out. It doesn't have to be that you take that route of killing somebody, but we can help you come out of it.
Yep.
One day.
Walk now.
So, there's another woman who is stuck in a way that she cannot explain things, and the government doesn't like it in this case.
Okay.
All right.
And she can't walk away.
In this case, she can't walk away.
Okay.
Well, unless Parliament tells us differently. Ivy Minyo, I don't know how to pronounce that name, but anyway, Onyango. She's the sole director.
Spell the Minyo.
Minyow. Minyo?
Okay. I'd say Minyo as well.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. So, she has 4 billion shilling deal, but she can't recall her bank accounts. She could not remember where company offices were. She's come back before this committee that's probing the deals that went down at KEMSA. So she's a director of a firm that won 4 billion shillings contract with the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. Yesterday, she shocked the parliamentary committee with claims that she could not recall details of bank accounts and signatories. Onyango told the MPs probing an alleged corruption in the supply of COVID-19 items to KEMSA that she needed 2 days to consult before making full disclosure about bank accounts belonging to Killig Limited, as well as the signatories. So as of yesterday, she couldn't remember. She was not able to recall exactly what was going on, but she needed a couple of days to come to this recollection. The remarks stunned members of the Public Investments Committee, as Onyango is listed as the sole director of the company, which was awarded a 4 billion shilling tender for the procurement of 450,000 PEPs at 9,000 shillings per unit. At some point, she ended up in a heated exchange with the committee members, forcing the team chaired by Abdul Swamad Nasir to give her a 5-minute break to consult. But even after making phone calls, she insisted that she did not have the accurate answer about the signatories and the bank accounts held by the firm. The firm did not supply the PPEs after the deal was cancelled by KEMSA following queries on the tendering process. And she said, kindly allow me to provide clear answers to these questions to avoid a situation where I may say something that is not accurate. I am ready, but I still don't have responses to what the committee is asking. She said she entered into the contracts with the Chinese manufacturing and distribution firm for the purposes of the deal. She also said there were various partners we entered into joint ventures with. I think there's an Equity bank account and an SBM bank account. I would request that you allow me more time to consult so that I have a basis for certain disclosures.
Okay. This is the second time that she's appearing before this committee.
Yep.
First time she came and said that she's the one who had registered the company and she was the sole owner. Then the committee goes and finds out, according to the registrar, this company had been registered to a different group of people. 2 people had registered this company initially. That is in, was it January last year, in 2020. It had been registered to someone called Ju Jingping and Wilbrod Gashoka. In April, those 2 had transferred their shares to Collins Bush Wanjala, who later handed them to Miss Minyo the following month. That's in May. So company is registered in January by 2 people. They transfer their shares to one person. This one person transfers shares to this particular lady. So when they discovered that, they called her back. They told her, okay, now come back. So you're not the one who registered the company. You acquired these shares. Okay. But can you tell us about your transactions, your financial transactions, your bank records? And she can't remember.
She can't remember.
Okay.
She can't recall.
That's
She didn't want to give wrong information.
Yeah.
So she needed some days
So
to,
she walked out and made a call, and then she came back.
I said, nah, still. Can't remember, won't remember. But I will remember in a couple of days. Does it just not seem like a circus to
These
you?
are jokes. And this is now the kind of joke that you see. So
Nonsense.
this person versus the other person who basically just went there and they were looking for an opportunity. They got an opportunity. They supplied. And they're the ones we are mocking.
But this one, the 4 billion shillings was paid to Killing. But they didn't supply the PPEs. I think here now, do you see what's going on? The 4 billion shillings was paid.
And then it was cancelled.
Yes.
Funny story.
Very funny story.
As we go to the top of the hour, let's talk about this one. There's something that's happening in Ethiopia. The AFP, that's the French news agency, has been able to get into Ethiopia, into Tigray. And they are reporting that there has been some form of massacre that's taking place there. Telling the story of a particular village where people were, on one day, 30 guests were singing, praying, celebrating an Orthodox Christian holiday. Then soldiers who are donned in some uniform and were speaking some Eritrean dialect of the Tigrinya language took all the men and the boys and took them somewhere. They shot them and they killed them.
Good Lord.
And this is just one case, and there are many such cases taking place. The AFP reporters on the ground say they have actually seen dotted mass graves in this region. Remember what was happening in Tigray last year between the forces of the federal government and the forces of the Tigrayan Liberation Front? And don't forget that the Prime Minister of Ethiopia is a Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Over being able to broker peace between himself
and another country.
The Eritreans. What are we talking about?
So a lot is happening in Ethiopia, and there's no much information coming out of that particular region since then. It's important to find out. A lot is also happening in Myanmar, where another Peace Prize winner has been deposed by the military.
Yes. And
More conversations coming up in the next hour. Good morning. It's 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life. Spice FM, Nakuru. Traffic.
Okay, so all stops on Thika Road today, right around that area. It's not too bad. Traffic is building up as we get into the CBD. We're going to be moving through and see how that is at the Pangani Tunnel, moving slowly as you get then out towards Ngara. Should be all right. You can go that way or you can go towards Wangari Maathai Road. You probably get to town faster via Wangari Maathai. Okay, so that's not too much of an issue. In and outbound on Mombasa Road, the construction continues. It's getting heated up, guys, and so that means that there's less road, more vehicles, more time on the road. So for this one, you have to plan early. I saw traffic as early as 4:15 this morning, so people are trying to get out as early as they can. We are officially in the middle of traffic hours, so it's bound to be crazy for at least the next 2 hours wherever you are. Let us know what you see. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127. Let's see what it looks like in your neck of the woods, and hopefully we can keep it moving this Thursday morning.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room the only way to start
Two and a
your
half
day.
minutes after 7 o'clock. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. Welcome to the second hour of the show. With you in the room this morning is Eric Latif and Ndu Oko. City Muga is away. Let's begin with today's proverb. There is often the look of an angel on the devil himself. There is often the look of an angel on the devil himself. This is an African proverb.
Yeah.
Straightforward, isn't it?
It is. It is. You never know what it is that's coming, so always, look
Yes.
before you leap.
Yes.
There are many like this, eh?
There are many, eh? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
We're at a point.
We are at that point where it's the third wave. The third wave of COVID-19 is in the country right now. More cases are more COVID-19 positive cases being reported. 713 is what was recorded. Well, 712, 13, yes, is what was being recorded yesterday. And a few people died as a result of COVID. It's 300 up from the cases that were found on Tuesday. And then we heard from the press briefing from the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Health, Mutai Kagwe, that, things are getting thick once again. I don't think that it was alarm that was coming from him. I think this was expected because we knew that in March we would be in another wave based on what experts had predicted as a result of the movement that happened over Christmas and then coming into the new year with students going back to school. Friday, the president is supposed to address the nation. And this specific address is going to be concerning COVID-19. It was expected that during this address, he would lift certain things like curfew, but then really maintain the issue of wearing masks and social distancing and things like this. However, with the rising cases of COVID and what we are being told now that ICU facilities are full with COVID cases, then there's a problem here. More and more people getting COVID. Now, there was a time when things had lulled for some time. We didn't hear. We were looking at an average of 80, 100 cases being recorded per day.
Yeah.
Now we're at 700. This number is likely to rise even to as high as 1,000 per day in the coming weeks. Now, with that information, I think it would be absolutely necessary at this point for the government to say, hold on. We know that people were itching, really hoping to burst through that starting line and say, okay, let's get back into nightlife. Let's get back to those who manufacture during the night. Let's get back to transport, people who are traversing the country, traveling. But here we are. And unfortunately, if we do that, we'll be at a very dangerous place when it then comes to opening up once again. I feel it. I hear it. I hear the businesses who are crying for an opportunity to go back to work. But then again, we're dealing with so many things now for COVID that we were not dealing with 3 months ago when the curfew was extended. In January, when this curfew was extended then until this second weekend of March, we were not dealing with things like second variants, which bring about a higher infection rate. We were not dealing with a closer death when it came to infections. We were not even dealing with symptoms showing up 3 to 4 days after infection. We were not dealing with that. Now we are. We had gotten to a place whereby the ICUs was not an issue. People would even go and they would be empty. Now, around the city of Nairobi, we don't have information for the rest of the country, but we also know that the highest number of ICU beds in the country are located in Nairobi, and they're full. All indications would point to being extremely careful when it came to the relaxation of measures. If anything across the globe, when we've seen that there has been a surge, everybody has gone back and said, close schools, people should now go back to working from home, entertainment centers will not be open, and there will be curfews instilled and things like that. Schools are going to close in about a week anyway, and they will be at home for the next 7 weeks or so, 8 weeks, except for those children who are going to be writing their exams of KCPE and KCSE.
Okay.
But it would be absolutely... it would be a bit careless to say open everything up in light of what is happening right now.
So what we are seeing now is 89 patients in ICU.
Yes.
As of yesterday. And this is a very high number. Even according to Mutahi Kagwe, this is a high number because we had gotten to a point where we had less than 20 people.
Around the country.
20 COVID-19 patients in ICU around the country.
Yeah.
Now we're going to a point where we are talking about 90 COVID-19 patients in ICU in the country.
Right.
The question that I ask myself, though, as you are explaining, and you have explained it well, that, we are getting to a point where now we are at a peak and we are experiencing that peak. If we shut everything down now, how long should we shut everything down so that we can then, what you're saying is what? Break the chain, right? Would it have been more prudent to have shut things down earlier? So slow down that curve.
Well, see, this is one of the things about data fueling decisions, information fueling decisions, because we knew in January, and again, it would have been prudent to do so earlier, because in January we knew that we would see,
with the kind of things that we're seeing, with the kind of economic activity and the freedoms on movement,
we knew that we would see a surge.
Prediction was that this would get to a point where in March would have a peak.
Exactly.
And now we're getting to the peak.
At that, we
could have slowed it down
2 weeks ago. Could have slowed it down 2 weeks ago.
Or a month ago.
Yeah, we could have.
And pushed it to April, May, June.
But now what is going to happen? But see, now the thing is, we've passed that threshold. And look, there's some brilliant minds in this country, again, and I'll share that with information with you. And again, Professor Nzala talking about this and saying, you know what you do? You break because you can see the chain is already forming. So you break it before now it has a chance to form. But unfortunately, right now, the chain has formed. So what you're trying to do now is to break that flow when it has already formed. So it's going to take a longer period of time. Had we said, okay, we know that this is going to come, let's stop it beforehand. Even though we do have a number of people who are infected, is there something we can do to make sure that it will not be as severe? This 713 that was recorded yesterday, it's going to rise. Right? Because infections have already taken place. It's just that not all of them have been tested. The thing is that a lot of us still are under this misconception that you go to hospital and you get tested and the numbers are given and that is the number you have in the country at that point. There are still many more. It's just that either one, they don't have symptoms, or number two, they're still trying to nurse their infirm at home and they have not found it necessary to go to hospital just yet. But the numbers that are being reported are by no way indicative of the entire number of people infected presenting themselves at the current time. So as people unfortunately get sicker, they will then present themselves to hospital, tests will take place, and you will see this number rise.
You know what you're saying now, I've just remembered, we had a conversation with Dr. Githinji Gitahi around the time of the second wave, and where there were a number of people who were campaigning for the same thing, that let's go into some strict lockdown for a couple of 2 weeks or so, and then we can emerge out of it. And there was some serious push that was, going towards the Ministry of Health and the President. So to say, Mr. President, lock it down for 2 weeks, and then we shall emerge and we shall move on. The President did not lock it down for 2 weeks. We emerged. We moved on. So why do it now? Second wave, we didn't lock down. Why lock down on the third wave?
Does it mean, because you see, that's the thing. Why didn't you lock down? Because it already passed it. And so you have an opportunity to stop things from getting worse, right? And with every wave, look at it across the world. With every wave that comes into any country, the casualties are more. The loss is more. The people who get sick get sicker with every wave that we see.
Yeah.
And this is what we're seeing now with variants. People are getting sicker. Not that more people are getting sick and so the numbers are rising. Even amongst the people who are getting sick, their symptoms are getting worse. The time between which they get sick and cannot breathe has been shortened significantly because of these variants that we're seeing.
Because of the variants.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is something that can be done. I think it would be foolhardy to say, well, yeah, okay, last time we didn't lock down and we didn't have thousands of people dropping off the face of the earth. So therefore, there's another opportunity. I think every precaution needs to be taken.
If we were to go that lockdown, that complete lockdown, what would it entail? So extend the curfew. Do you want to extend the curfew hours? Is it saying that, okay, schools are going to shut down? Is it saying that let's reduce movements? Let's advise corporates to reduce the number of people from government offices, reduce the number of people who are working in office versus those who are working from home?
Eric, the tricky thing is that the tricky thing here is that these infections are not as a result of what people are doing now.
That's true, but they're spreading now.
Yes, you see.
Because you have more people who are likely to be walking around with the virus now, you have a higher chance of contracting the virus now than maybe what you had 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
So if you say now, reduce the movement now because of this spike,
then you're
breaking that chain. Now, breaking that chain has its other heavy costs economically. Because if you say break the chain, what are we saying? Are we saying curfew extends, but is it curfew extends from 11 or is it curfew extends from 9? Are we saying stay at home? Are we saying matatus, strict enforcement of the social distancing?
Yeah, look.
Are we saying government offices, strict enforcement of social distancing and people working from home as much as possible?
Look, absolutely. People should work from home. Look, and I think I would love to hear and the people who are collecting this data and information from offices and companies where people said that if you can work from home, if we saw a drop in COVID-19 infections because people then were able to work from home and then you stopped this all this movement. When you saw a relaxation of those measures, did you then see more people getting infected? Did you now see more cases being reported?
Yes.
So exactly. So I think that there are things that you can actually do and still remain within these realms of saying, of people not having to lose their livelihood of their source of or their source of daily bread. Can they work from home? Institute that. Do we need to maybe add an hour or two on top of the curfew? Yeah. Matatus and public service vehicles, forget about it. That went out of the window a long time ago. But are we saying break the chain now? Yeah, let's go and instill those measures. Enter into a matatu today and it's like a pack of sausages. People are not wearing masks, social distancing. That doesn't happen.
Wearing of masks.
But there was some time that
congestion.
There was some time that the forces, that police, for example, were enforcing such things in matatus. People adhered for a very short period of time, but they adhered all the same.
Yes.
And we saw that it was actually working.
Yes.
So I think there are little things we can do. There are little things we can do that will actually bring about some kind of change. Kenya right now cannot afford to lock the country down. Cannot afford it.
Let's hear what Mutahi Kagwe said yesterday when he had sat in a meeting, an extraordinary summit of the Council of Governors, where he was also present. And when they came out, first of all, the Council of Governors, led by their chairman, Martin Wambora of Embu, came and said, we urge the president to, first of all, shut down all public rallies, all campaigns, political campaigns and public rallies, shut them down, and then we impose more measures. When Mutahi Kagwe himself came out, he said, officially, I want to declare today that we are now experiencing a third wave. And this is what else he said.
Fellow Kenyans, I want to make it official and to say that Kenya is already in its third wave. There was the first wave, the second wave, which was around November. But as we had predicted in the Ministry of Health, come the month of March, we may begin to see some surge upwards. I urge all Kenyans to be calm and to follow the guidelines we shall be issuing with regard to the vaccine as we continue. When the time for the entire population to be vaccinated comes, I will urge all Kenyans to take advantage of this opportunity and get this jab in order to curtail the transmission as well as protect ourselves from the virus. However, I want to continue making a passionate appeal to all Kenyans not to lower our guard in this fight, as the governor has ably demonstrated.
Okay, so that's what the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Mutahi Kagwe, said.
Don't panic. I think it was one of the things that he mentioned.
Yep.
However, there are certain things that they're going to put in place. Because at the end of the day, I think one thing we need to remember is that people assume that this coronavirus is just floating around in the air. Well, okay. But in order for it to move, it has to have a living, active host. And that's you and I.
Human beings are spreading the virus.
Exactly. And if you want to stop it from spreading, have less people infected, then you stop people from moving. That's one of the things that you must do. You either stop people from moving or you make sure, you insist and you use all measures possible to make sure that people are donning their masks, that people are washing their hands and sanitizing. You kill it. You kill or stop the movement of it. And I think that we need to make sure that in the very least, some of those things are being done. It is not going to happen that the curfew will be lifted come Friday. I'm sorry. I know that people are on edge and they're waiting. It's not going to happen. It would be careless to lift the curfew at this point. It would be careless to say, okay, be like Texas and California and say, okay, remove your masks, throw them up in the air like a graduation cap, and we are done with this thing. It would be careless to do that. And I think now that needs to be instilling of certain things.
More measures.
Again. It needs to happen again. Okay. Public transport, public places, wearing your mask and sanitizing regularly. It needs to happen.
I hear you, Ndu.
What? What happened to those wash hand basins that we saw all over the city?
See, that's where I'm heading. All those things that you're saying, I hear you. Yeah. We saw it in the UK. We've seen it in European countries. You know, when there's a surge and the UK government says, okay, shut down everything. Let's go in. Let's come out when it's a bit clear. We even saw it in Rwanda. They shut down Kigali and said, schools shut down, people reduce your movement because we are seeing some slight spike in terms of numbers. Now, when you say that we do the same here in this country, when you say that, for example, the curfew that has been there since from 11 to 4 it needs to be extended. In fact, even increase the number of hours on curfew. If you say that now bring in other measures like restricting movement, bring in other measures like, and strict enforcement of the law, I'm going to ask you, do you think the people, the public, is actually in support of any of these measures? Do you think so? And the reason I'm asking that is because in July last year, was it July, September, August, when the president was, talking about, I'm going to start easing the strict measures that we had in place, he kept reminding people, he kept reminding all of us that, fellow Kenyans, the virus will be spread by you and I. If we see a spike, it is because you and I have not adhered to what was put in place. It's you and I. We are here because you and I have not done it. So we can all sit back and point fingers because we are Kenyans. We like doing that and say, but you see political rallies, but you see BBI rallies, but it's not only BBI rallies where this kind of mass gatherings are taking place. It's not only in BBI rallies where people are not wearing masks and not sanitizing as often as possible. It's not only in BBI rallies where people are not observing social distancing. If it's completely everywhere in the community, even if you came and imposed today, if people, the citizens of the Republic, are not seeing what you're talking about, what's the point?
So you're saying that, okay, so we're going to get into this thing, we'll come out of it happy with no issues like before?
What I'm saying is, right now, I'm fearing that even if you extend this curfew, today, go to very many places and they'll tell you, 11 p.m. curfew, they don't know it. In fact, they're hearing you guys saying that the president is going to lift the curfew. They're wondering,
Which curfew?
Which curfew?
Are we still in curfew period right now? Okay.
Very many places in this country, they don't know about an 11 p.m. curfew. 11 p.m. life goes on in many places. Many places, people wear masks when they see a police officer. In this Nairobi, in this country, there are places where people don't even get out of their homes with a mask. Many places. And this is where we all went to Christmas. We came back, we interacted, we took our children to school, and KEMRI, using their modeling, they said, okay, so with this, what we're seeing, we're going to see a spike and a peak of this in March. That's where we are. If you impose those measures now, who's going to listen?
It's not good. Look, this is the unfortunate thing. But again, even if it is appearing to do something or appearing to behave in a manner that would at least give some people some kind of confidence, that's what I'm saying. These things that we're saying, with people saying, oh, let's remove the curfew and let people be able to move around as freely as possible, it's not going to happen. We've heard from CS Kagwe himself that there's some measures that they're going to put in place. Okay, let's hear what those are going to be. Is it necessarily going to stop infections from happening? I don't think so. Are we going to see a rise in infections? I do think so. Are we going to get back to that place where we were seeing 800, 1,000, 200 infections per day for the next couple of weeks? Yes, that's what we're going to see. So in light of that, is there something that you and I can do to make sure that you're not either one of the victims or you're not helping to spread this thing? You're not going to put on your mask. You're not going to wash your hands. You're not going to be in a position whereby you're packed like sardines in a can. You can actually do this and stop it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. in my thinking, and I support what you're saying, in terms of officially, it could be done, impose more stricter measures for international PR, which we've been playing as a country for a while. But practically, if we had more and more messages from the government, Kagwe now starting to speak on a daily basis, live on TV and on radio, and going to media houses and saying, and even having campaigns in the media saying, guys, we are going through a third wave, and to avoid the ravaging effect of such a wave, let's do this and the other. Then people start hearing it more often. People may get the message in. But you start imposing things. When people are trying to recover from the devastating effects of last year's lockdown, and now you start telling them, now, by the way, the curfew goes back to 7. Oh, hotels, you're not going to be able to open anymore. Oh, you'll get a backlash.
But what can people do right now to make sure that you actually stop and break the chain of infections?
We need to internalize that message that we are actually at a bad point. We are getting to a worse point. And we the people, not Uhuru or Mutahi Kagwe, we need to take this bull by the horns. We need to do things. We need to stop to start wearing masks diligently. We need to wash our hands and sanitize as often as possible. We need to make sure that we observe physical distancing as much as possible. Not the government telling us. We have got to do it ourselves. If we don't do it ourselves, it doesn't matter what this government of ours will tell us. Nothing will move. They'll just deploy, Matiambai will deploy his officers, they'll club up people here and there, we'll resist, we'll push back, we'll insult them, and we'll still have the same problems.
Same problems.
Yeah.
It is an issue, and it's a big one. I think that one that can definitely not be ignored, however. I think it would... Look, there is danger that lies in ignoring this as it is. Unfortunately, I think there are quite still a lot more in terms of those who might be suffering from COVID or those who are getting COVID and it's not coming to the fore. I think that there are things, I do agree that there are things that we can do as individuals. Maybe some would also agree that it's too late because they are... the message needs to come out much clearer in terms of what Kenyans would need to do. In terms of what the government will do, unfortunately, I have to ask myself, the measures that were put in place from the very beginning of COVID, how did they help? To stop to stop the spread of COVID, and maybe more importantly, to instill in people's minds the importance of their movements or the importance of their actions. And I think now going forward, those are the things that we need to concentrate on.
Did you get a buy-in from the people? We want to ask you that question this morning, 0719-012-600. Should the government impose stricter measures as we are in a third wave of COVID-19 in the country? Should the government reintroduce strict measures as we are in the tough times of COVID-19, a third wave, or what is it that can happen or should happen? We'd like to hear from you. Let's take a break at this point, 25 minutes after 7. We are on SpiceFM, on KTN Home, and online.
Thank you.
The political class, the contestants, everybody is trying to outsteal the other.
Remorse is not taught in any school. Manners is something you get from your mother. You don't get it from your political party.
Why are we so unfocused as a country? Why are we spending money and resources, yet we have real challenges in this country?
This coronavirus pandemic should teach us one thing, that universal healthcare is critical. Because at this point, whether you have a medical card that covers you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice FM. Spice up your life.
Japan, biotechnology, yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered. Mention our course, you will not fail to get it. Visit our website today on www.studyinjapan-africa.com.
Sugar and spice and everything nice, just the way you like it.
The Spice Drive.
Did you have a great day? I hope you did. I intend to make it better from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm going to be taking you home nice and chill. Everyone is welcome aboard. The hashtag is Spice Drive and, of course, SpiceFM KE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
The Spice Drive with Monique. The official
All right, so
soundtrack.
the sun is rising this morning ever so strong. 16 degrees. We'll see highs of 28 today and lows of 14 in Nairobi. Partly sunny conditions in Nyeri at 11, highs of 26. We'll see highs of 13 in Nakuru, 14 and sunny right now. It's also sunny in Eldoret at 13, highs of 26 and lows of 12. 32 will be the high in Kisumu, where it's sunny right now at 20. We're looking at sunny conditions in Kakamega at 18, highs of 32. Highs of 32 also in Mombasa, where it's sunny. It's sunny in Malindi and we'll see highs of 31. Kampala is mostly sunny at 19, highs of 30 today. In Dar es Salaam, it's partly sunny, highs of 33 and lows of 26. We're looking at sunny conditions in Johannesburg as well, highs of 29 and lows of 15. The sun has changed to rain in Lagos. It's 27, highs of 33 and lows of 26. It's also raining now in Kinshasa at 24. We'll see highs there of 32.
Chilled Spice.
Okay, so what kind of traffic are we looking at? So Mombasa Road is still kind of slow as you get into the city. It's going to take some time out of this one. But today doesn't look like a crazy day, actually. Okay, sorry. I take it back. Mombasa Road just looks pretty heavy as you're trying to get out into the city. Kiambu Road is jam-packed and trying to join the Thika Superhighway on your way through to the Pangani underpass. It's gonna clog up again right around Ngara as you get onto Moy Avenue. Apart from that, it looks good coming off of Jogger Road onto Landis Road and then into the CBD. That doesn't look like a problem at all. Other parts looks like it is all right. Let's talk about it in a bit and see if that changes for you. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, text on 40127.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4
It's
Spice
7:30.
FM.
This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room on Spice FM, on KTN Home. Online with you this morning is Ndu Okoa and Eric Latif. We're asking, should the government reintroduce strict COVID-19 protocols in the wake of the third wave of COVID-19 in the country? Should the government do this? What do you think? Spice FM KE on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Post your comment there. And also you can call us 0719 012 600. Let's go to the phone lines. Anthony in Mombasa. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm very fine. How about you?
We are very well.
How's Zodu?
Fine, thank you. How are you, Anthony?
I'm very fine.
Super.
Whenever this discussion comes up, I'm a bit perturbed.
Why?
Because we need the measures, yes. But vis-a-vis what it's doing to our economy. Because when you look at these measures, when they are put, they've really affected especially the small businesses. Because we know the measures they put is about whatever they do is affecting these businesses.
Yep.
So when you look at Tanzania, for example, they never took the measures they took earlier. And the COVID is ravaging them seriously. It's really affecting. But when I come back to our country, we took some measures originally,
Yeah.
and this helped. It helped to educate and people learned how to use mask and everything. But the political class, the government, is not leading by example. This has made a lot of people to give up.
Okay.
And they say, you hear people saying they go to their meetings, they are together, they eat together, and then nothing is being done. So it's like, I also can do the same. If you look at the high-end estates, there are bars that operate 24 hours.
Right.
They've been there, they've been operating. Closing the bars or putting the curfew does not mean that this is not spread.
So what should
But
we do?
one thing
What should
that
the president do
worries
tomorrow?
me is, whenever we are nearing the presidential speech, these cases spike up. So knowing our government, the way it operates, and knowing how they've been doing things, it worries me to an extent that sometimes I feel like it's really not spiking up. Someone is cooking figures.
Oh, no.
People are in hospital, Anthony.
I understand your point. I'm also saying, I'm not doubting, I'm not denying the cases might have gone up.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, why is it that whenever we near this presidential speech, just look at the statistics. Whenever he's about to address the nation, these cases go up. You get my point?
So what would you like him to do tomorrow, the president?
I think we should open up the country and let us educate the people and tell them the need of protecting ourselves.
Okay.
This virus, it doesn't mean this virus operates at night. It doesn't operate daytime. You go to the marketplaces, people are full, operating normal. In fact, you get to, like our market here, when you get to the market, you feel you're the odd one out wearing the mask. But knowing that I need to protect myself, I'll keep the mask on.
You keep the mask on.
Yes, but looking at everybody, nobody has a mask. They even look at you like a stranger.
Okay. We hear you, Anthony.
So,
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. Let's hear from Maina Karogo in Nyeri. Good morning, Maina.
Good morning, Eric.
How are you today?
Good morning, Edu.
Good morning, Mina.
Okay, me, I will say that a wise man collects himself by the mistake of others. We have seen countries like Tanzania where they had turned a deaf ear. What I urge all the Kenyans is that we don't have to be the doubting Thomas. We only believe things when it happens. Let the government come with the restriction. The fact that the disease is real, let people not start giving the flimsy reason excuses, because after all, we are going to suffer it. There be more measures.
Okay.
Because actually, this is not the hearsay. It is the real disease that is dead, and we have witnessed it is killing even worldwide.
Yeah, true. Thank you very much, Maina.
That's all.
Thanks,
Thank you, Maina.
Yeah.
Kamau in Nairobi. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Very well.
Morning.
I wanted to contribute about this issue.
Okay.
I was in Nyeri in the last weekend. I did a couple rounds and I saw bars there operate normally.
What is normally?
They operate 24 hours. And I actually went to, I think it is in Real, Thika Road, bars operate normally. I wonder why when Uhuru wants to talk to open the economy for us that we run clubs and businesses, then that is when Mutahikago says that the surgeon is going up again. For me, I think it is a business that is something that is not right.
Explain that, Kamau.
Actually,
let me just let me ask you a direct question.
Yes.
Mutahi Kagwe said yesterday, officially, we are witnessing a third wave. Do you believe him or not?
That is a very big lie. Because they actually, whatever they are doing, their businesses are running. They're the one who operates these big clubs that they operate 24/7. I could like you to, there is I think it is Kenyatta Road. I went there a couple, I think 3 weeks ago. The bars are operating normally. Thika Road, the economy,
The economy is
there is a club. There is a very big club in Ruiru. The owner is former governor of Juja. The club runs 24/7. Surely, why?
So what would you like
We
the
here
president to
in
do
Eastland,
tomorrow?
Let the president open the economy. Let us protect ourselves.
Okay.
And whatever Mutahi Kagwe is saying is totally a very big lie.
Why? What reason would the government have to lie? What reason would anybody have to lie about increased number of cases? Why do you think they would do that?
Because they're making money. These people are making money out of the whatever they're borrowing from outside. They're benefiting.
You see some underhand deals.
Yes.
That you have to explain a lot of. But let's hear from Mike in Kisumu. Mike, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
How are you doing this morning?
Good,
We are fine, thank you. First question, Mike. Do you believe when the Mutahi Kagwe says that we are experiencing a third wave of COVID?
I have doubts. I have doubts about this because as the previous callers have said, then I'll ask myself, are these the guidelines that are being put in place by the Ministry of Health partially applicable to people in the country? Because you find that the middle class and the poor will be forced to adhere to these guidelines, yet the rich do what they want.
Like what?
What
are those examples that the rich are doing that the poor are not doing?
They are running the clubs normally, as long as you can pay the police the amount they want, they won't disturb you. We have examples of clubs in Kisumu that are operating 24/7.
So there are folks who are in the club the whole night.
Even
now during this curfew era.
Yes, there are some clubs that are closing at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Mike.
So that's why we ask ourselves: are
Mike,
these laws, are these guidelines partially applicable?
So therefore, you're saying that the people who are patronizing those clubs are the ones that you're calling the rich.
I would say so because if you can pay, the people who are supposed to be ensuring that these laws are adhered to,
then you have money to spare.
They ease the guidelines for you.
And who are the poor that are suffering?
Those people who cannot, like for example, the SMEs that were really affected by this corona when the country was locked down. Those businesses those people lost their business, those people lost their jobs, and who are still trying to come to terms in this time. So it is funny, it's like a coincidence that when the president is almost briefing the nation in terms of corona updates, corona brief, then the number, the surge goes up. So it acts as a coincidence, and you will think that there's something wrong somewhere. There's something fishy somewhere.
Okay.
So what I would like to say, the president should just open the country.
Okay.
And we should have a system that applies the laws to everybody equally.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Let's hear from Musa and Kilgoris.
Morning.
Good morning, Musa.
Yeah, this is Emerson Musa speaking from Kilgoris.
Good morning,
to you.
Emerson.
Morning. I want to concur with what my colleagues are saying. In the first place, let me start by saying I'm agreeing with the CS that we are having the third wave of the COVID infections.
Okay.
But unfortunately, when it comes to the implementation of the safety measures, this has become to be an issue of the haves and the have-nots.
Okay.
Because the reason as why I'm saying that there are some people who can be able to buy themselves the way out of these restrictions. Be it the time measures. And if you do not have your way out, then unfortunately you become a victim of the situation.
Musa, let me ask you.
Yes.
In Kilgoris,
yes.
If you go to in Kilgoris itself, or you go to neighboring towns, what percentage of people are you likely to find wearing masks?
As at now, it should be something like 20%.
How many?
20%.
About
Quite a
20.
number of people have,
People are not wearing.
People are not wearing the masks.
Are those people rich enough to be bribing their way out of this
Not wearing a
particular
mask every day.
requirement?
Not really.
So where do the rich and poor come in?
You see, it's only that if you do not wear those masks and you have a way out, then even if you come across the lawmakers, you can be able to give something small and you are left to go. Yeah. So basically, we are asking the president to just open up the economy, let the lockdown issues be removed, but let's give a call to Kenyans to take measures into our own hands and try to do
Those
something.
80% will now wear masks because the president has lifted the curfew, the 11 p.m. curfew.
Suddenly people will begin to do this, things that they did not do for the last 6 months. And so then when he says, all right, we've lifted the curfew, then suddenly everybody will now have this renewed sense of responsibility and start wearing masks, for example.
You know, Kenyans have this tendency. When you are told to do something, they don't do it. When you are told not to do, that's when you do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Musa, thank you very much. 0719-012-600. Once again, this is what the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Mutahi Kagwe, announced yesterday with regards to COVID-19 in the country.
Fellow Kenyans, I want to make it official and to say that Kenya is already in its third wave. There was the first wave, the second wave, which was around November, but as we had predicted in the Ministry of Health, come the month of March, we may begin to see some surge upwards. I urge all Kenyans to be calm and to follow the guidelines we shall be issuing with regard to the vaccine as we continue. When the time for the entire population to be vaccinated comes, I will urge all Kenyans to take advantage of this opportunity and get this jab in order to curtail the transmission as well as protect ourselves from the virus. However, I want to continue making a passionate appeal to all Kenyans not to lower our guard in this fight as the governor has ably demonstrated.
So, at 7:45, we still want to hear from you. Should the government reintroduce strict protocols in the wake of COVID-19 third wave? So far we've received a number of calls where people are saying, what third wave?
And I think as we go on, we're going to keep talking about this, but it is very clear that even from the comments that we are seeing coming in social media this morning, that people don't believe this. That people believe that every time a presidential address when it comes to COVID is imminent, that the numbers go up and that this is something that is being cooked in the kitchen.
Let's go to the phone lines. Alex in Kitale, good morning.
Currently, I'm in West Pokot.
West Pokot.
Oh.
I'm in a place called Sok.
Sok?
Yeah, Sok in West Pokot.
Spell that. S-O-A-K, S-O-K?
S-O-O-K.
S-O-O-K. Sok.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice. Okay, a place is 70 kilometers from Kapenguria.
Okay.
This is a place where people don't wear masks.
At all?
At all. In fact, when you're seen with one,
you're sick.
You become the odd one out.
And the reason why they don't wear masks?
Wanasema kitu hakuna.
Right.
So my opinion is that the government should not relax the restrictions. In fact, they need to up the game so that we don't go the Tanzanian way.
Okay. How strict should they get?
People should be arrested, man. We need to see the people should sanitize, people should wash their hands and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex.
As we wait for the vaccine.
Asante sana. Salimia watu wa Sok.
Sok tunawapata loud and clear.
Asante sana.
Sawa sawa.
Yegon.
Yes, good morning, Eric and the entire team.
Good morning.
Good morning, Yegon.
Yes, I'm still calling from Nandi.
All right. Are people wearing masks?
50-50.
At least it's
over
50.
the last
In Soak, it's
over the
100% no.
over the last 1 month, there was a breakout of a very dangerous flu, resistant to antibiotics, resistant to everything. And this thing crippled people with fear.
Okay.
And you could hear somebody say, "No, Bwana, you have a cough. Please wear your mask. This cough is this flu is very, very dangerous." So it is because now the flu was within the people. We had people who have gone through the flu. They have used the antibiotics and the flu was not responding. Now they were like, I'm in corona. So the government, I don't think the government needs to introduce another new measures. Because even the curfew should be banned out, should be removed. Because people have been observing the social distance in the matatu industry. Because the most affected sector when it comes to curfew is matatu.
Sorry, Yegon. The matatus in Nandi, maybe?
No, in Nandi there is no social distance. Our police are corrupt.
So where is this that people
where is this that people are observing the protocols in public transport?
At least now when I'm traveling to Nairobi, there is a distance, observing the distance. But when it comes to the local industry, the county commanders in each county is availing everywhere. But people are being carried over excess.
Despite all that, you want the president to lift the curfew.
But at least these people, even if they are being carried excess, they are wearing the mask in the matatu.
Okay.
So the president should have lifted the curfew so that the business will continue driving. There is no need. Curfew bado iko. Now, if you say to arrest the people, the police cells at the police post where you can take these people before you take them to court is a small room.
We're already seeing a surge in cases in jails and prisons around the country. They're saying that right now we have 2,000 people who are being monitored at the moment.
With harassment and phobia, even wearing the mask when you are being arrested is not in the right place.
Okay.
So
Thank you,
that one
Yegon.
is about, okay, alafu. I have one request that one time invite one of the big people from the NHIF sector.
NHIF.
Yes, we are suffering a lot. Before you are being treated, you submit your NHIF, alafu unaenda nyumbani for it to be approved, alafu urudi.
Oh, the approval is taking longer than it was.
Yes. Today you will go there with your toothache, unaambiwa now until it is being approved, enda nyumbani na meno yako ikiapproviwa utarudi.
And you're sick now.
That is something we can raise with NHIF. Yes, we've had a conversation with the CEO twice now. We'll look out for him.
Thank you.
Asante sana. Alfred in Nandi, good morning. In Malindi, Alfred, good morning.
Good morning to you too.
How are you?
Morning.
I'm well, my brother. How are you?
Tuko salama kabisa. First of all, Alfred, do you believe that we are witnessing a third wave of COVID-19?
Yes, I do believe.
Okay. Should the president reintroduce strict measures?
Actually, it's not about the president reintroducing because we have active measures. But the problem we have is the problem we have always had in this country. Blame and failing to take personal responsibility. Previous callers have raised issues that maybe policemen are not arresting people for flouting the rules. But how many people can you arrest?
Yeah. Why are people why are people flouting the rules anyway?
We have failed to embrace the principle of responsibility. I'll wear a mask when I see a police officer.
Yeah.
Which is very wrong. And as long as the police officer is not there, the vehicles will carry excess. And then one thing that people have raised that we cannot wish away. We know that there are people in some towns, it is called tithe. Once they've paid the tithe to the relevant security personnel, their business operates like as if the COVID restrictions do not even exist.
Yeah.
The bars operate till morning.
Yeah.
They can get away with anything. They can travel past the limited time for curfew. So it's just an issue whereby I usually say that, for example, in Kenya, we have the laws. And I think even our constitution is one of the best constitutions in the world. Why do we fail in enforcement? We fail in enforcement because we have failed to embrace responsibility.
Responsibility, for sure.
Yeah,
Very
personal
well said.
responsibility, we have failed.
Well said, Alfred. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day in Malindi.
You too have a good day.
Cheers.
Let's cross over to Mombasa and speak to Rosina. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yes. For me, I believe there is a wave,
Okay.
but I think it's more of selling the what is this? Sindano.
The vaccine.
The vaccine, yes. So I feel people are not taking responsibility,
Okay.
and it's more of selling. Who can buy more of the injection? So I think it's just someone take
responsibility
on their own. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if the president introduces strict measures tomorrow.
It doesn't. His voice is not being heard. His command is not being taken seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rosina. Have a lovely day.
You too.
Let's look at the comments on social media.
Quite some, actually. Chris Wessa says, Tuneleke Easter celebrations, what did you expect? Curfew Ita Tolera 2023. Wow. Okay. Victor says, I would wish that the government tightens the restrictions so that we can reduce infections. Unfortunately, the government has lost the moral authority because our leaders haven't led by example and Kenyans aren't key to follow instructions. People don't follow, or rather, people don't need curfew anymore. That's what Fred Choge says. Johanna is asking, this vaccine jab that the president and our CS have, they received it? The third wave is a government narrative. Why
Wow.
now? Hey. Okay. Teddy Olo says, damned if they do, damned if they don't. We have a shortfall in revenue at the same time the third wave is here with us. A tough balance, but opening the country I agree with because we already are operating normally. Peter Jr. says, I hear this discussion, the doubts and what they want. While I agree the implementation of presidential orders has been extremely low or poor, we cannot pretend COVID is not surging. I will support if the president even tightens them, including extending curfew hours. Solomon Kobasu says, why must these waves always be coming when the president is about to address the nation? There is nothing we are doing different from Tanzania apart from pretense. The political class are holding rallies with masses, but they tell us corona spreads at night. Oyaro says the issue of lockdown has caused great strain on our economy. Most people have lost jobs in the last year. My employer has sent more people home in the last 1 year than in the last 10 years.
Wow.
Mike Mwangi says, whether tougher restrictions are reintroduced or not, I believe it's an individual responsibility to observe all measures in place. On Tuesday, I was in a burial where people were shaking hands and hugging freely, oblivious of the danger lurking around. It's about you and I. And finally, for now, Shiragi Mwai says, the government of Kenya needs to be realistic in COVID measures. The curfew should end first. Secondly, prepare level 1 and 2 hospitals by mainstreaming COVID. Most of all, make local leaders sensitive on basic precautions. There's one thing that's coming out here clearly. So it's on the one side, you and I can take responsibility, but the mistrust of the government is at some seriously high levels here.
Oh, yes. Every new thing the government says, people are like, what? Why
no
now?
way. This is hogwash.
Let's take a break. 4 minutes to 8 o'clock. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Taking a break on KTN Home and SpiceFM. We'll be back shortly.
87.9 Spice FM. Mombasa. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
Japan, biotechnology, yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered. Mention our course, you will not fail to get it. Visit our website today on www.studyinjapan-africa.com.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
It is 2.5 minutes to 8 o'clock. So this whole issue of, people questioning why now? Why is it that every time the president is about to speak, there is... First of all, the last time the president spoke, we were not witnessing a wave. When he put up that in December and January, the president spoke.
In January, when he increased the curfew till March, there was no surge at that point.
Yes.
In fact, numbers were dropping. Numbers were dipping significantly around that time. Because it's at the time that schools were opening and we thought that, okay, there's going to be high number of cases, there's going to be high number of infections. But then numbers actually started to drop and there was a decline. And when he made and said, okay, until at least March, we're going to have this curfew in place. But for me, I think one thing that rings out here is that Kenyans are not trusting of this government at all. Kenyans are saying, why? I don't understand. Why can't we just open up? The rich continue to get richer. The poor continue to get poorer. These businesses of ours, my small club here that I'm running that can take 10 people, I don't have the wherewithal to bribe the police. But those who have however much that they need to bribe the police, they're thriving. Again, becomes an issue between the rich and the poor.
But also, we as a people have gotten to a point where you always want to point a finger and say, but why is so-and-so? If you're arrested, why are you not wearing a mask? Forget about those who are able to bribe the police. You, are you wearing a mask? Are you washing your hands? Are you observing social distancing? It's about you and I, and that's why I was saying, the president said this to us last year, and he said, look, guys, I'm hearing you under pressure, and I'm going to ease these restrictions. But remember, it's about you and I. It's sort of like he got to that point of Pontius Pilate, and he said, I'm washing my hands. Here we are now. We are pointing fingers back at the government. Come on. We have got to get back to that point of responsibility. Unless we, the people, get that message ourselves, internalize it and decide that we are going to follow the protocols, it doesn't matter how many restrictions the government comes up with. No. We'll always come up with a story. Oh, why now? Oh, they are eating money. Oh, there must be some money that was coming. Oh, they want now COVID money. Good morning. It's 8 o'clock.
Spice up your life. 102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Traffic.
Okay, so is there still a lot of that? Traffic is what we're asking. Looking at it now, it doesn't seem too bad right now. Mombasa Road still piling up every now and then. Right around the SGR, moving out towards the city centre. It's not too bad. Coming off from Ngong Road and Langata, coming out of Westlands, normal morning traffic. We don't have anything out of the ordinary. Getting your way into town from Thika Road, as you get past the Pangani Tunnel, can take you some time, but it should be all right. Jogo Road, then out into the city, into industrial area. So there's construction is happening on Mombasa Road, industrial area, parts of Westlands. So know which routes to navigate. Use the bypasses. They are your friends. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
So 2 minutes after
the
8,
only
this
way
is
to
Kenya's
start
biggest
your
conversation.
day.
The Situation Room with you this morning is Nduoko and Eric Latif. Today's proverb: there's often the look of an angel on the devil himself. There is often the look of an angel on the devil himself.
Yeah.
Yep, the devil is the devil. Is the devil. May look like an angel. Is the devil. Could look like an angel. Is the devil.
The devil.
Yeah.
Dressed like an angel.
Is the devil.
Okay.
That conversation and the messages keep coming in. Look at what Tony Wanyama is saying.
Which third wave, he asks. What? Why is the wave coming just when the COVID-19 vaccine has landed? Ouch. Okay. There was never even the first wave of COVID in Kenya. We are we are a joke of a nation, is basically what he's saying. Do you remember the 13th of March?
Last year.
Yes. On a Friday.
Yes.
The first case was announced. I even remember what Mutahi Kagwe was wearing. He was wearing a blue kaftan.
What's a kaftan?
It's like that two-piece outfit.
Okay.
Sky blue.
Okay.
And he said, we have found the first case of COVID has been reported in the country. Social media went crazy. Kenyans said, it is a lie. There's
money.
No COVID. There's money that's coming in. Wait, you see, money will start flowing into the country because we've said. What bothers me is that, leave alone that almost 2,000 people in Kenya have died.
Yep.
111,000 people are said to have been reported with having infected by COVID-19.
Yep.
People around the world are being infected by this virus. There are still a number of people who believe that this entire thing was manufactured. So here you are telling them there's a third wave and they're saying, what?
Third wave of
Third
what?
wave of what? The first one never even happened. What are you people talking about? There is now the vaccines. The almost comical thing is that even if you wanted to draw parallels between what they're saying and the reality, that you could. That when there was the
no
first...
sooner had the vaccine arrived.
Third wave. You could draw parallels.
No sooner had the World Bank made available some money.
Some 50 billion.
To be taken. First case. Even when the government took the effort of actually saying, here is the first patient. Here she is. Let her tell her story. This was a girl who's been coached. Getting to a point where you don't believe anything.
No.
Anything at all that you're told by the government. This is fire. What fire? What fire? What do you want? Abba Boy Beat says things about KEMSA. Altar Boy.
Yeah. I hope you know that one of the companies that was given the tender by KEMSA to supply some stuff was formed 1 month before the arrival of COVID-19. It's now involved in the major KEMSA scandal. COVID-19 is a scam. No lie. Sijawai va mask and I'm okay. Generally, corona is a business. I will never accept to be vaccinated. A vaccine has to be tested for 11 years. Wow, okay. Before its approval. Hii yao wametengeneza na wiki moja siwezi kubali.
Hey.
Okay, guys.
And he calls himself Altar Boy.
The curfew needs to be removed since in some places it's already been. So for some people, this curfew, they don't even know what you're talking about. People never stop moving at night.
People forgot there was a curfew.
No, for some people it never happened. Not forgot.
It never happened. I'm sure there's a time when 7 p.m. there was a curfew.
People were running home,
countrywide.
right?
Yes.
And then after a couple of days, people said, okay, forget this thing, it's not happening.
Yes.
Okay? John Matu says, why are people not mentioning the rallies? In one of the dailies today was that governors are asking
Uhuru to ban
rallies as a result of COVID-19 case increases.
Yeah.
So the governors are asking, you know what, if we continue in the way we've been continuing, there's going to be a problem. Every day last week, if we want to look at the rallies that took place in the coast area, if we want to look at the by-elections and whatever happened because of that, who going to Meru County, who going to Kiambu County, all over the
Who's
place.
spending a week in Mombasa.
There were rallies that took place everywhere. It's a good thing here that the governors are saying, hold on, guys, this thing that we're doing right here in this current wave, stop it, put a hold on it. But rallies were banned.
Politicians have been saying this.
Were rallies not banned? In the last presidential address, was it not that one of the measures put in place was that rallies will not take place? If you wanted to address your people, you call a town hall, and even within those town halls,
there must
you have
be
social
strict
distancing.
adherence of protocols. And
Was
then what
there a
happens,
lifting of this?
What we have seen is that our political leaders, because they are popular people, they will drive around somewhere and people will just come out. And the political leader will basically just stand atop his vehicle and address the people. Because people have come and they've blocked the road. And that's what we've been seeing. We've seen the deputy president do this. We've seen Raila do this. We've seen the president do this as it goes around the county of Nairobi, actually, just opening these new projects.
Unfortunately.
And the president is there. He's come to open a new health facility. And, because people have heard the sirens and all the people, the president is here, they come. And what does the president do? He gets on top of this vehicle, he addresses the crowd and he says, how many governments do you know of? There's only one government. So if anyone is coming to lie to you, that's not a rally.
So he
That's
could have
just a
actually,
spontaneous
right? But he could have said,
outpouring.
he could have stood on his vehicle and said, "Okay, guys,
Go home.
there's COVID, eh? So just
Or
go
not
home.
stand at his,
I'll
on
talk
his vehicle
to
at
you."
all.
Or drive away, or say, "Guys, let's go." I think that's such a responsibility. Now, all of these things happening in rapid succession. Do you blame Kenyans for their state of mistrust?
Wait, how did we get here?
My goodness.
How do we get to a point where clearly the March date was not a Mutahi Kagwe or any other politician's
It was
date?
a presidential decree.
Yes. And no, I'm actually talking about the model that
right.
predicted that we're going to experience a third wave in March.
It was the experts.
Experts at KEMRI, the Kenya Medical Research Institute, told us this in January. And they said, we have looked at what's happened. We have seen the way we have observed just movement of people around the Christmas festivities. And we are also seeing the movement of about 10 million learners as they go back to resume schooling. So our modeling is showing that we'll have infections starting, infections growing, and they'll reach a peak around March. This is what we're witnessing. This is not a politician coming out to say that we are going to have. It's actually experts who sat and they modeled and said, you're going to see an increase in numbers. Okay. The people who are reporting the increase in cases are medical professionals who are testing people who are turning up in health facilities. It's not random testing. It is health facilities reporting, we have tested, we have found. Labs saying, we have tested, we have found X positive, X negative out of this number of samples. That has been increasing. So this is not some wishy-washy cooked up number. No, it's actually happening. 89 people in ICU.
It's a reality.
On COVID is a reality. Maybe you can say, wako wapi ya watu? Of course, you'll not be shown at the other people. You've got to protect their confidentiality, but they're there.
These people exist. But then there's something you cannot take away from this
like,
general belief that people have.
What's that?
This belief that people have is that they cannot trust this thing that is coming out from the government. And you've heard, as careless as you want to call it, or whatever you might want to call it, there are folks who say, you know what, all this time, this social distancing people are talking about, I've never worn a mask and I'm all right. I still believe that there lies a danger in this manner of thinking.
I think so.
It's going to be very difficult to curtail, though.
I think so. So one, yes, the government has put itself, and CT keeps saying this, the government has slowly but surely driven itself to this particular corner, where it's at a corner and people look at it and they don't trust the government. That's okay. That is our government. It is there. We don't trust it. But do we trust ourselves? Do we trust our own judgment? And that's why I come back to what Alfred of Malindi was saying. Why have we lost that sense of personal responsibility? What is your responsibility as a citizen? What's your duty? What's your responsibility? How can you say that I'm breaking the law because you see even Raila breaks the law, even Uhuru is breaking the law, so I break the law? How can you justify that? How can you justify and say that I killed somebody because anyway, so-and-so killed the other person? What's your sense of responsibility as a citizen then?
I think there are certain things that you
Are we saying that we actually have lost that definition?
Well, if it existed in the first place, because the responsibility of then taking care of the people has always rested on the shoulders of the government. And there's expectation that if the government is not doing it, then it's not going to be done. If the government is not leading the way, then we are not going to follow. And we're just going to sit and fold our arms and wait until the government takes responsibility and does something about it. Well, in this case, guess what? When you get COVID, you get COVID.
It's yours.
It's yours. It's you in your bed. It's you sputtering up every minute. It's you getting to the point whereby you might have to be put on a ventilator in order for you to breathe. It is you. Nobody's going to be able to come and take it away from you unless your body is able to fight it. So other things that you can do to protect yourself, absolutely. Staying away from all the conspiracy and whether there was money stolen and whether there are billionaires who are benefiting from provision of tenders for COVID-19 and all of these wonderful things, that's okay. But is there something that you can do to protect yourself and the members of the family? There was one thing at the very beginning of all of this that the governor of Mombasa actually said. You protect yourself and the ones you love. If not, the ones who love you.
Yeah, protect the ones who love you.
Yeah.
Even if you don't love them. Somebody loves
you. Protect. There are things that we can do. And look, let's not behave as if at some point somebody's going to snap their finger somewhere in the atmosphere and COVID is going to disappear or it's just going to fizzle out like that. It's going to be here for some time. The attitude that we adopt towards it is actually very critical in how we're going to be able to fight it. Can you stop yourself from ever getting it? Yes, you can. And has it been tried, tested, and proved that there are things that you can do to stop yourself from getting it and break the chain? Yes.
It starts with, first of all, whether the person believes that there is COVID.
Why? Okay.
Because here we are at a point where somebody does not even believe that there is COVID. So,
so
protect myself from
saying
what?
Protect yourself, and there's not. What am I protecting myself from?
Yeah.
Okay, I can see the difficulty, and my head is paining me.
Teddy in Voi, good morning.
Yeah, very good morning.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you, Eric and Latif.
Yeah.
Eric and Latif is one and the same.
It's the same guy.
Yeah, my concern is now that we're in the third wave.
Yeah.
And I'm so much concerned about our children who are in school.
Yep.
And who are about to close school and come home for the purposes of the exam to take effect.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher by profession, and I'm so much concerned about the same, because if you tell me there's a third wave and the kids are supposed to come home, so it means by the time they'll be actually leaving home again, going back to school, this thing will be like out of hand. So I don't know what it actually
What do you mean, Teddy?
My concern is we are in the third wave, as Mtai is putting it, yeah?
Yes.
And these kids are coming home.
Yes.
We are about to close school.
Yes.
And I'm so much concerned about now when they are coming home and we're in the third phase.
Okay.
To my thinking...
So you think they'll come home and then there'll be now continuous spreading of the virus?
Yeah, I'm just getting worried over the same, yes.
Okay. Maybe the experts can actually respond to that. What's your thinking?
Yes.
You're saying you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking... that this thing might erupt again when the kids are home. Will they now be allowed to go back to school again, or will they now be told there's no school again? You know, I'm just being, worried about the same.
All right. I think a lot of clarity needs to be shed by some of these experts. One of the reasons why they were saying that you expect to have a peak around this time is because of that mass movement of people around December and then the mass movement of learners back to school at the same time. So the spreading was happening, and that's one of the reasons. So maybe now, with students closing school and staying at home for 7 weeks, that's going to help in breaking the chain.
Okay. And
but I am not an expert.
My thinking is the government should concentrate on campaigning on how people should take the jab more than taking the measures, because when you talk about the measures, we are taking the measures seriously.
Okay.
That is my thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Teddy. Thank you. John in Elbagan, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning. Typical Kenyan. You make a constitution, it does not work, you don't implement it, and then you think the best way to deal with it is to amend the constitution. So you put up rules and regulations to deal with the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
You don't follow them, and then you think the best way is to tighten whatever you have not even followed.
Okay.
The first thing you should tighten or just not even tighten. Just make sure that what the minimum that you have put
Enforce
is
it.
being adhered to. Yes, enforce that. Before you now start thinking of tightening what you have not even implemented. That's the first thing. And then secondly, I think the issue of the wave, if I look around all over the world, there was a first wave, the second and the third wave. So maybe scientists need to tell us, does it even matter if you do or you don't do? Because it appears everywhere in the world,
there will be a
even
wave.
those people, there'll be a wave, there'll be a third wave. And then, in fact, those people who have gone through the third wave, they are even talking now about the fourth wave. So I don't know if it is about implementing what you have done or not implementing, or it's just a cycle of dealing with a pandemic. And then the third thing maybe I wanted to talk about is that, there's this thing we have been talking about, that personal responsibility. To me, it's a fallacy. And I'll tell you why.
Why?
When you're dealing with a pandemic, it's no longer about personal responsibility. There is no single country that has ever dealt with a pandemic using personal responsibility. A pandemic is dealt with by the government.
Okay.
Government put in laws, and the laws are implemented. It can never be a personal responsibility. It's not like, for lack of a better example, it's not like HIV infection. HIV infection, you can say it's a personal responsibility. But this one is not a personal responsibility. And I'll tell you why. I might be following all the rules which are there. But if the two of you are there and they are not following the rules, there are chances that you can infect me.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's why it can never be a personal responsibility.
The government has a role to play.
Yes, and all over the country. Look at what Italy did. Look at what France did after they realized this is a problem. People were actually being locked inside their houses.
That's true. John, thank you.
Literally.
Asante
Yes. So
sana.
it can never be a personal responsibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you. John in Elbagon. Let's go still in our same area. Rongai. Joseph in Rongai. Good morning.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
This is a Rongai of Kajiado.
This is Ongata. This is Ongata Rongai.
Yeah, this is diaspora.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, just want to contribute, and I've gone out and I've heard many people say that they've never seen anybody who suffered from COVID. And I think that is where the beginning of the problem, because many people have never known any person who has had COVID. And I think partly why people say it doesn't exist is because they don't know on a one-to-one basis anybody who has suffered from that.
Yeah.
So one of the issues that I see as a gap in the whole fight is the fact that the media could probably play a bigger role in bringing up stories of recoveries, like we saw maybe last year when the Bishop from Western Kenya came from London and he was interviewed. So I think one of the areas that the media could do a lot more is bringing real life Kenyan stories of recovery. And they tell their story of recovery, because there are a lot of people who have gone through this, and it's just that the masses don't know them personally.
Yeah.
So that's one point. Second point is that, of course, the political class is very hypocritical in the sense that what they say is not what they do. So obviously that needs to be drummed up almost like every day, that you are telling us to do ABCD, but you do the opposite.
Yeah.
So obviously that I think is the case.
Thank you.
And that lead, what the last caller said is this is like a war. So there are no choices. It must just be put black and white.
Strict enforcement.
You must do this. Yes, sure. Thanks.
Thank you, Joseph. James in Nairobi. Good morning.
Good morning. Morning, Du. Good morning, Latif.
Good morning, James.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I'll make it very short. I think for me, I just had 2 points related and one just to add on. So one is I mean, a major cause of this is the political rallies that we've been seeing. Case in point, I think, is it last week? There was a huge rally in Meru by a certain political person. And just looking at that rally, maybe approximately 2,000 people with only 3 people wearing masks and people shouting and singing. It was a mass inoculation event. And honestly, we're just waiting for maybe a week or two and we'll sadly see what's going to happen. So if you replicate that sad scenario throughout, I think we can already see what's going to happen. And that maybe reflects what Kemri had said, because of our behaviors, as you said, in December, the model was going to show cascading infection at this point.
Yeah.
So really, the political class has a role, and sadly, I don't think they're playing that role very well. And then I think the 2 callers ago said something about negating the issue about personal responsibility. I think we really are a reflection of our society. All the other issues we talk about, corruption, not respecting each other, are sadly reflected in how we are handling COVID. You can have rules on putting on a belt, crossing a road as a zebra crossing, but you don't expect the government to stand there and make sure you do that. Same for putting on a mask. So even if you don't have anything, you can even just, you see, put in, I think there was a photo of somebody putting on a cabbage. It was very sad, but it showed that that person was making an effort.
An effort.
I think, yes. I think when you walk around like right now and see 50% of Nairobians sadly just walking nonchalantly without a mask, it's really a personal responsibility. And it shows you we're taking it for granted, and sadly we will be punished for that.
Thank you.
I think my final point is on the role of media, as the caller before me just put it. I think a very interesting point was maybe we also need to put a bit of shock and awe in terms of how we communicate. We remember HIV, sadly to quote that, a few years back when they brought in the sad events about empty villages, sad family. I think currently the NHS in the UK has been running some very scary to say adverts about what happens when, real stories of sad patients who some of them have gone. I think together with the CCK or the other regulatory authorities, we can seek authority to run those shock and awe stories,
such stories.
both in visual and audio. Yes. Shock stories, so that people can wake up.
Would they
And
have,
then, of course,
would they have a negative effect, James, of increasing stigma?
I would not say no, but I think we can look at the benefit, because as you've heard, there are a number of people who sadly are saying they have never seen a COVID patient. And so it might be a tricky balancing act. I cannot give a solution, but I think it will be important, akin to what was done for the cigarettes. I don't know the efficacy about it, where they had to put in, sick lungs and people suffering. And to an extent, I think it has helped. To an extent.
Okay.
If we can explore having that. Then positively, of course, as we close on this, then give the positive story about the recoveries. And the hope that is there.
Good points. Thank you, James.
Thank you, and great work, team.
Asante sana. Chris in Juja, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you guys?
Very
Good
well.
morning. Fine, thank you.
Okay, fine. I would like to contribute to today's discussion.
Right.
And I would really like to say that it's very sad that we as a citizen, we've actually lowered our guard on COVID-19 as far as the rules and regulations are concerned. And today we are facing, or we are in the likelihood of facing, a third wave, so to speak.
We are in it.
We are in it. Also, we are in it already, that is. And this announcement is coming in coincidence with the presidential address, which is just like in a day's time.
Yes.
And the reason why so many people are finding this hard to believe is because I would really agree with Ndu on one thing, and this is something that she's always emphasized on, is that the government does not communicate properly. The communication channels of the government, sometimes they miss it in communication, and that is why over time, the government has sowed some seed of distrust in the people to an extent whereby the government can tell you something that is very important, and you just end up disregarding it because of that communication. There's something they are missing about that. And also remember, this thing is also coming in the wake of the jab. The jab has just arrived and all that. So it might also be a way of persuading people, because, the government, it has failed to persuade people that, see, guys, this thing is this thing is good for you, you can go for it. Yeah. And therefore, it might also be a tactic of actually like persuading people to go for it. So maybe the people who are saying it's not true may be arguing that way. Because again, now you see, I personally expected the cargo to come out even during the BBI campaign and say, hey guys, so please, can you stop this rally? Because it's not right. We are most likely to face a third wave because of this political gathering. So many people here not adhering to the COVID regulations and all that. Then it would have really made a lot of sense coming out now and saying, guys, see, we told you that now we are in the third wave. But just coming out, waking up from nowhere and saying, we are in the third wave. Now we have to do this. And the governors are also there saying, now stop the political rallies. Why? So, someone might be tempted to argue that why must it always
coincide
switch your timelines, switch your political timelines? Because now, you see, they have already popularized the BBI. It's already there. They've already passed in the counties. So now, even if you come and say now stop the political rallies, actually, it's not really adding a lot of sense.
Okay,
really
we hear you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much.
My contribution. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Chris.
Asante sana. 27 minutes after 8, we are asking you this morning, should the government reintroduce strict COVID-19 measures in the wake of the third COVID-19 wave that we are in right now? CS for Health, Mutahi Kagwe, confirmed that Kenya is actually undergoing a third wave of COVID-19. Should this happen, many people saying, what third wave? Others saying, forget it, just let things happen as they are. And now we are actually asking, what's the role of the citizen in all this? Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. 28 after 8.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life 24/7 around the world non-stop. This is Spice FM. Spice FM.
It's getting hot in here. Oh, everybody steals. It's better a thief who brings something small back. And I say to myself, there's no better thief. A thief is a thief, period.
All those bribes, how much they're getting per year, how much inconvenience they're causing, as much as you call it a small case, it's worth it to be convicted.
The truth is, we are a tribal nation. Because if we were not tribal, and I want to go back to this, you cannot continue walking around with a mug which is clean outside and it's rotten inside.
We have become a fuliza country. We have mortgaged our country because of debt.
You've got one chef working, and the assistant chef wakati anatakana koroge unga nini hayuko.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Japan biotechnology, yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered. Mention our course, you will not fail to get it. Visit our website today on www.studyinjapan-africa.com.
The weather with Spice FM.
All right, so sunny conditions in Nairobi this morning, highs of 28 and lows of 14. We're going to see sunny conditions in Nyeri as well. 26 will be the high, lows of 11. The lows will be 12 in Nakuru today. It's sunny at 16, going to highs of 30. 26 the high in Eldoret, where it's 17 and sunny right now, coming down to lows of 12. 19 will be the low in Kisumu. It's sunny at 21. 22 in Kakamega, highs of 32 and lows of 15. It's mostly sunny in Mombasa at 26, highs of 32 and lows of 25. 25. Highs of 31 in Malindi. It's partly sunny at 27. We'll see highs of 30 in Kampala. Mostly sunny conditions at 23. And Dar es Salaam, it's raining this morning now. Going to highs of 33. We'll come down to lows of 26. Looking at sunny conditions in Johannesburg at 19, highs of 29 and lows of 15. 33 the high in Lagos. It's light rain at 27, coming down to lows of 26. 24 will be the low in Kinshasa, where it's still raining at 24. We'll see highs of 32. Right, so it's not too terrible today, actually, guys. I just must be honest. The places where we do have some serious traffic at the moment: Gitanga Road, Gitanga Road, Valley Arcade. Buses and matatus have basically parked on the road, and everybody else has to find their way and use whatever they can to get where they are going. So there's a bit of a hold up there, and police are trying to sort that out. Excuse me. On Mombasa Road, inbound. So the construction that's taking place right at the Airtel interchange could be a nightmare because there's extended construction today, getting to another phase, so that stops some of the movement. So inbound on Mombasa Road is where we have an issue. Outbound, not so bad as you're trying to get to the Nyeri Stadium roundabout. Uhuru Highway, however, this is that time where between the Nyeri Stadium roundabout all the way to Westlands and in the other direction is actually jam-packed. Let's keep an eye out for that one. The Eastern, Southern and Red Hill bypass is behaving very well this morning without too much of an issue. Northern bypass today also looking good. SpiceFM KE on Twitter is how you can get in touch with us through the morning. If you get stuck somewhere, let us know.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Conversation, the Situation Room with you this morning is Eric Latif and Andu Oko. Should the government reintroduce strict COVID-19 protocols in the wake of the third wave of COVID-19? Mixed and varied reactions left, right and centre. Nguyo says, this is a very intuitive virus. It dipped when we were arguing about opening of schools.
I know. Unfortunately, it did. When everybody was saying, no, don't send our children back to school. It's too dangerous. And then the number started to drop. And so they were like, why would we not send them back to school? The numbers are dropping.
Karaoke in Lavington. Good morning.
Good morning, Du and Eric.
Good morning, Karaoke.
I miss CT. At least you don't have a guest, and he will not rail at me and ask why I'm greeting somebody with a high-pitched voice. Anyway, I think the government should impose stringent rules, but at the same time, one of the things that we're not seeing the government doing, or rather the people that we consider to be the leadership, is exercising or practicing what it is that they say they're going to do. So, for example, I think it was 2 months or in November when the president and I think Honorable Raila Odinga, they apologized for staging rallies all over the country because there were accusations that the rallies were super spreaders or serving as super spreaders, and then they apologized and they said they stop. And even before the ink had not dried, the following day in the press we saw rallies again. And that somebody has talked about a rally in Meru, I think it was. Somebody else has called to say it cannot be a personal responsibility. Then I found myself wondering, okay, but if I go to a rally, don't I have a responsibility myself not to go for the rally?
You do.
You can't stop government. Yeah, you do. So to a large extent, government. The responsibility lies with government, but also with individuals themselves. And the government, the leadership of this government, which are politicians, they should show the way. They should lead by example. Having said that, I think it's also good, Du and Eric, if invited guests on this show who can maybe talk to listeners or Kenyans in general about what dietary interventions they can make. I've been following a Dr. John Campbell from the UK, and he has been lashing out at WHO for not telling people that the sun is critical. So he's saying there are two things, vitamin C, vitamin D. Why vitamin C? Because vitamin C is usually potent against any flu-based virus, including influenza, including COVID, if you have lots of vitamin C. So besides washing hands and, ensuring that we keep social distance, maybe there are other interventions that the masses need enlightenment on. And you as media, maybe you should look at what are all these alternatives, what are the measures, can people take? My folks, my dad is 81, my mom is 75. My folks and my own family, thanks to Dr. John Campbell, we take a lot of baobab powder every day with water or with blended juice. Why? Because baobab powder, I don't think there's any food that has more vitamin C than baobab powder. It's available in outlets in Nairobi. My folks live with a 4-year-old niece of mine, their granddaughter, who has been going to school. She's not 4-year-old, she's in grade 4. She's been going to school, so we've had concerns, and that's why we've been investing in this baobab powder. Yeah, and so far so good. So, maybe there are ways in which people can protect themselves.
Yeah, in terms of boosting with all dietary supplements that people can actually do. We've actually had guests here. We've had a dietitian. We've had virologists. We've had doctors who've come and talked about this all the time.
That was laudable.
And it's important, yes, that we keep talking about. It's important to exercise. Physical exercise is important. Watch what you eat.
And bask in the sun.
Have a high intake of vitamins. And bask in the sun.
Bask in the sun.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, the doctor, John Campbell, was giving the reasons why in the U.S., I don't know about now, but in March of 2020, blacks, the rate of deaths among blacks in the U.S. was twice as much as that of the, white.
What was his reason?
I can give you some insight into that. I mean, and looking at, I hear, because I heard Campbell talk about the same thing, and the deaths that we saw amongst African Americans in the US was linked to underlying conditions that they have because of dietary issues, such as diabetes, other lifestyle diseases, and other heart respiratory related diseases, heart disease, high blood pressure. And so it was easier then for COVID to attack the system because they were already dealing with depressed immunity as a result of these conditions that they had. So there was a direct link between that, because huge numbers in terms of obesity, diabetes type 2, heart conditions, high blood pressure. And they would find the majority of cases of people who died from COVID-19 had either one or two or three of these conditions at the same time.
You know what? Dr. John Campbell had a different view, and it's very interesting. And I'm glad maybe that I'm sharing it maybe to a wider populace. His view was the following. So we are, as blacks, what makes us black is melanin, which is a dark pigmentation on our skin. When the skin shines on our skin, when the sun shines on our skin makes vitamin D. So what happens is that many blacks in the US, of course, they have melanin. But the thing about melanin, it has an advantage and disadvantage. And one of the disadvantages is that blacks make vitamin D at a slower rate than light-skinned people, including albinos. And when they COVID, so you need blacks need a lot more exposure to the sun than the whites. Yeah. So when COVID struck the US, and he was backed by numbers. He was not just throwing vibes of hot air. So when COVID struck the US, according to Dr. Campbell, a lot of blacks were already vitamin D deficient because they're also in the wrong continent. They're in a continent that, unlike Africa, does not see much sun. And he gave examples of Wisconsin, which is a U.S. state to the north, which has 4% population blacks.
Yeah.
But 27% of hospitalizations in the U.S., in Wisconsin, 27% of hospitalizations due to COVID in Wisconsin in August last year made up 27%.
Was of this.
27% was of blacks.
Yeah.
Yet the population is 4%.
Could be some correlation.
Yeah,
as
but
well.
I'm glad that. But I'm glad that you had those discussions.
Well, and we'll continue having them, Karaoke. Thank you very much for your call this morning. Asante sana.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers, bro. Lydia in Nakuru, good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Habari yenu?
Tuko salama sana, Lydia. Habari ya leo?
Poa sana.
So the president is speaking tomorrow. Unaona atasema nini?
Now. Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Now. Okay, these supplements that people are talking about, it is true. Because the immunity in your body, when you use those supplements, they go and fight against those diseases. And the vaccination, it is good. But we have to use more supplements to put our body in immunity to fight with that disease.
To fight with it.
There were some times when I had the flu, but not this.
Not COVID.
This virus. But the other homa yani. Then I saw that warm water it can help. Because that time I was so coughing. Then I used hot water. And then after 2 days it got finished.
It helps. Okay. It helps.
Yeah.
Yes, they advise on that. Thank you very much, Lydia. Let's hear from Jimmy Kimani. Jimmy, good morning.
Good morning, too.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Habari ya Malindi?
Malindi is a little bit warm, cloudy.
Okay.
Okay. What I wanted to say, what I'd like to say is that I think with this new COVID that we are experiencing now, it is of our own making.
What does that mean?
Because, what it means is that the government is responsible for people's health and for life. It's supposed to protect life. But the government that we elected is not doing the right thing. Just 40% is not doing anything. It's only doing about 20%, arresting people without a mask and getting money out of them by fines.
What is it not doing?
Look at the real story. Look at schools. Now that COVID is going up to this level, if one parent of the ones that are 700 and I don't know how many, 719, something like this, the ones who have COVID today, if they are parents, obviously their children have it.
Not
necessarily.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is that COVID is transmitted. And as long as you're in one house and you are eating from one plate, obviously you will get to each other. It will spread in the house.
You will be
If one house is
exposed.
in the house, you are exposed. And there is no one who is immune to COVID. You will still get it. And that is the truth and the plain truth which we can't hide, which you're trying to run away from. I am a father with children in school. I have COVID in my house. I touch the same remote control the children touch. I touch the same cups. We wash all our cups in one house, in one sink. So what do you expect? I expect that my children also will get it. Then my children are primary school children. They go to school. Look at what's happening in school. Are we keeping the 1 meter distance? Are all the kids in Baracoas now, in mass? Go to schools and see what is happening now.
So, Jimmy, what are you saying? What is it that what is this 80% that the government is not doing?
It's not doing. And that needs to do.
The government is failing to accept the reality of there was no need for us to rush into opening schools. The government is supposed to assemble the Nyumba Kumi initiative. Test all the people in that Nyumba Kumi. Whoever that is found with it is taken to quarantine. And this is not an issue where that we say today we are checking this, then tomorrow we are checking another region. Just like the way they do the census. They take the people who did the census, they take them for classes, they teach them how to take the doctors around, then they take these people who know how to do the testing into those houses, looking at the record of the census.
So do mass testing across the country at the same time?
At once, at the same time, and then
now
isolate
here's the
the
reality, Jimmy.
Yes.
That they had supply constraints of the testing kits.
Yes.
Basically, the testing capacity has been hampered because you're not able to access the testing kits when you need them and when you want them. Now, if you say that you want to do an entire test of everybody in the population, you need 47 million kits at the same time. Are you going to get them?
We're going to get them. At the past, if the government wanted them, it would have got them, because we were not at a crisis at the past. You see, and if it's like this now, let's look at the solution now. We can do county to county. We get the first consignment. We start with 001. The second consignment, and people not to move. You stay in your county. Goods, everything, total lockdown, so that we can have a proper law of the people who have this disease. Secondly, the Nyumba Kumi initiative, all the children in that area, the ones who don't have it, they are put in one room and then they are done lessons. We have people who can teach children, primary school children, because these are the most affected, because their mind thinking capacity is low. It's not like the high school students. Then we can have them being taught in the Nyumba Kumi initiative in one place, controlling their movement. You see?
Yeah, I think these are thoughts which have some merit, but at the same time, when the world is going towards already a vaccine, then for you to test an entire population and to find out, I am one of the big proponents to say that data and information then fuels decisions. But right now, where are we? We are already at the stage where vaccines are in the country that essentially could provide a protective cover from getting COVID. For us to now go back and now start testing people to see actually who has it, I think then we'll be doing double work, which at this point is not necessary.
Anyway, thank you for that. But I don't know how the vaccine will work if already someone has the COVID, and then you're putting the vaccine into the person who has a COVID.
Well, that's not going to happen. You're not vaccinating people who are currently unwell. It's even with any other kind of vaccination. If I have a child who has a fever with some kind of bacterial infection and they are due for their yellow fever vaccination, for example, the doctor will ask me to wait until that child is well and then they come for their vaccine. It cannot happen if somebody is sick and they be vaccinated at the same time.
Asante sana.
All right.
But the problem is that sometimes it is asymptomatic. You could be having it, but you're not showing any symptoms. So I don't know if
there's no testing that's taking place before you get the vaccine.
Yeah, test the people, get the results, then vaccinate them. I think maybe that would be a proper way.
Okay.
Of vaccinating.
Okay. Asante sana, Jimmy.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Many comments left, right, and center, even on social media. People talking about, what they think the government should do, what they think the government should have done. They're saying, this is the one country where people are expected to be very upright and uphold the law, but the leaders are not.
Yep. Thomas says Kenya is the only country where citizens should behave well and leaders to emulate them. The political elite have stepped up BBI campaigns despite COVID upsurge, but still Kenyans are supposed to take responsibility of their reckless actions because they voted for them. Absolutely absurd. That's what he says. Quite some also. Roy Aduo says, I believe that strict restrictions should be reinstated to avoid the same things we have seen happen to not only Tanzania but other countries abroad that got hard hit by COVID-19 like Italy, Brazil, and even the USA. Saying that the third wave is a hoax would be an insult to the countless number of lives lost to the disease, especially the frontline workers who went before their time. One life is already too much. We need the restrictions to preserve life, above all else, and mass sensitization to disseminate the information to the people. A huge majority of them believe the COVID-19 is just a myth. And like I said, I think it's a dangerous place to be when you're believing that it's a myth. And then you look at that vis-a-vis the number of people who have lost their lives who didn't need to.
Yep.
Health workers who lost their lives in the line of duty related to COVID-19. So when we look at that reality against the belief that maybe COVID is not real or that it's a myth or people are making up stories for personal gain, I think we run the risk of getting into some very murky waters there.
There are people who have died of COVID-19 in the country. Today, page 6 and page 7 of the Standard actually pays tribute to them. And the headline is Year from Hell, Remembering Departed Souls and Families in Search of Closure. And it has the pictures of various people from Maurice Kisa, the engineer, the first Kenyan to die of COVID-19. A handful of family members were present at his burial. We have people like Joe Nyaga, the former minister, Charles Linturi, Mithuka Linturi's brother. We go all the way to doctors, Hudson Alumera, Paul Kioi, associate professor in neurology, Wycliffe Alumasa, Kakamega County Referral Hospital, Medana Main, a gynecologist and obstetrician. We have people like Naila Lesalo, who was discharged from KU Hospital but died later after testifying online that she had gotten better. Mohammed Hamis, principal of Tononoka Secondary School in Mombasa, where 11 teachers tested positive. Mohammed Hamis died. All of us know Papa Shirandula, Charles Bukeko, star of that show, died. COVID-19. Many people have died. Doctors, many have died. From the first doctor who died of COVID-19 in the country, 38-year-old Adisa Lugaliki, to other doctors who've died. People have died of COVID-19 in the country. So saying that, where is this COVID? This COVID is a hoax. All
It's
right.
right here.
So what happened to Papa Shirandula? What happened to him? How did he die? If you know. You cannot really say that. We have 89 people who are critically ill today, admitted in ICUs. We have 1,898 people who have died in the country. We have, total cases, 110,356 total confirmed cases as of yesterday. Total confirmed cases of COVID-19, those who have tested positive over the last 1 year. So yes, there has been COVID in the country, and this is a fact. There is a surge right now. We are actually in a wave where there's a surge of the number of positive cases in the country. That is true. Go to hospitals, you will see. Now the question is, what is it that we can all do? If the government tomorrow came and said, all right, so we want to tighten the measures, what will you do? If the government comes, if Uhuru comes and says, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let this curfew from 11 to 4 a.m. continue for another X number of months until September, for example. What are you going to do? Are you going to wear a mask because Uhuru has said, I'm not going to put any other measure?
Yeah. Are you going to do your part? There's very little that you can do. And all of these things are realities. I think we must be honest about that. That clearly there is a mistrust of government. There is, it would look as though things were going a little bit murky, especially when it came to then what we saw is now being famously called COVID billionaires. All of those things are realities.
That's true.
It's true.
Yes.
We can't run away from that. At the same time, I don't even know if I want to call it responsibility. I would even say a duty that you have to take care of yourself. I'm not even talking about government.
You're not doing this for the government, by the way,
yourself, for your health.
You're doing this for you, for yourself, for those that you love, those around you. Let's take a break at this point. 5 minutes to 9 o'clock. We've been live on KTN Home between 7 and now. And we'll be live again on KTN Home tomorrow morning. But this show happens every weekday morning on SpiceFM, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So if you tune into SpiceFM, you'll continue the show. In the next hour, we'll have another conversation. 94.4 if you're in Nairobi. If you're in Mombasa, 87.9. Nakuru, 96.0. 96.7 in Eldoret, 90.9 in Nyeri, 97.7 in Malindi, and Kisumu is 102.5. Thank you very much, KTN Home. See you tomorrow. But join us on Spice FM. This is your radio experience on TV.
SpiceFM. Nyeri.
Japan, biotechnology, yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered. Mention our course, you will not fail to get it. Visit our website today on www.studyinjapan-africa.com.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
Work to do. For example, the minister, the CS for Health, just makes simple Freudian slip and says Ministry of Wealth. And people are like, but there's nothing wrong you've said.
You're just saying the correct thing.
Afia House is the Ministry of Wealth.
It's not a mistake. You were right, yes.
It's perceptions, and the work of basically just changing this narrative.
For sure.
Is a lot. And it doesn't call on a tough-talking CS. It doesn't talk on the president to speak as if he's really angry at the people. It needs a lot of PR to be played.
Definitely.
You've got to make sure that now you're talking to people, trying to win them over, win them back, because you have lost many people.
The communication lines need to be open. And look, it's never too late. You can start talking about, you can start telling people what the situation is. You can start telling people the truth. There was nothing that was never sorted by an open, honest conversation. If the guns had already been drawn, then okay, maybe it's a bit late. But before you get to the place where it's hell on earth, the apocalypse has happened, you can start to talk. You can start to communicate.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that needs to happen on very many things. Right now, so there's vaccination happening around the country. Let people feel confident that this vaccination is actually taking place and it's above board. All those questions that are being asked here. So why has the president not received the jab publicly for all of us to see? We are seeing governors saying that I'm going to be the first one to take the jab. But where is the father of the nation?
Why has he not shown us that he has taken it?
When he was asked, he said, I'm waiting for the experts to tell me. Why have the experts not told him that?
He said, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. If I say today that I am going to take it in front of everybody, you people will tell me that I'm being selfish. As a leader or somebody of a higher social status, I've taken it first to protect myself. If I don't, you will say that there's something I'm trying to hide by not taking it. You see, damned if you do, damned if you don't, is basically what he said that day.
Lakini pia aache kutuenjoy huyu mzee. Okay? He would not be the first president to be the first one to be inoculated. We have seen it.
Others done it.
World leaders all over.
Basically, what they said is that they're leading by example.
Yes.
I'm doing it, so everybody else do it to protect yourself.
Yeah. So it's basically like saying, okay, I know you guys don't trust me, and therefore I'm accepting that you don't trust me. Come on. He should have just come out and said, all right, here we go. Here I am. I'm going to take the jab.
Done.
Why was he the first one to be counted on census?
Okay, sorry. I don't even have an answer.
Sure, come on. Hey, no, the president there, he played some games with us. Mutahi Kagwe should also have been vaccinated. Or now we should see him getting vaccinated. This is things that he should not playing with us. Thank you very much for keeping it right here. Join us into the next hour of the conversation. It's now 9 o'clock.
Spice up your life. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, so yes, question is, what is happening on the Southern Bypass this week? Traffic all the time as you join Mombasa Road. Well, that's what it's going to look like for some time, guys. It's going to be heavy traffic on Mombasa Road at least for the next few or the next many months. It just seems like it's going to be a tough one, in and outbound. And as we go along, every week, there's a new element of this construction that's taking place. So it stops traffic from moving, guys. So just be prepared. This one we can't do anything about. We're just going to expect it to be just so. And it looks like it's something that's going to run throughout the day, not just in the morning or in the evening when we're used to traffic throughout the day. Be prepared for that in the next few months. Okay, let's look around other parts of the city. It doesn't look too bad, guys. Coming off Thika Road, getting into town, looks like a bit of a breeze. Coming in from Westlands, Langata Road and Gong Road, you all meet at Uhuru Highway. That's where the problem is, as you get to and fro from Westlands. That's what to look out for, guys. Apart from that, it looks pretty good. We've gone out of traffic hour without too much. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. That's how you can talk to us if you need to. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
9. Thank you very much for keeping it right here for the 4 hours of the show. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. The Situation Room with you this morning is Ndu Oko and Eric Latif. C.T. Muga is away. Hopefully he'll be able to join us tomorrow or Monday. Okay. Today's proverb: there is often the look of an angel on the devil himself. There is often the look of an angel on the devil himself. So a couple of weeks back, I was having a conversation with some friends, and there's this one who was talking about they'd just come from a burial. They had buried a close relative. The person had died of cancer. They had been diagnosed with cancer. It was, I think, discovered at stage 3. It continued to spread. They had gone through treatment here and abroad, come back, and at some point now, the hospital had basically just released the patient to go home because it was continuing to spread. And though the doctors never told this to them, it was clear from how they were being treated, like they were being told, guys, this person is just waiting for death. So go take care of him until he passes away, and then you let him rest. Person went home, stayed a couple of weeks, still undergoing, just pain medication and all, until the moment of death. And during this whole period, about 2 years of treatment, you can imagine what this family has gone through. The expense of treating cancer patients locally and abroad. Many fundraisings had been held. A lot of money had been raised. They had gone to an extent of diluting their savings. They had gone to an extent of actually offloading some of their assets. Like the one thing that people just go for is sell a piece of land so that you can cater for somebody's medical expenses. Many people, this person's wife and children had suffered indirectly and actually directly, because the wife would now have to take care of her husband who was ailing. When he was abroad, she had to stop everything that she was doing to go and be with him for a number of months. Coming back, taking care of him. When he's at home, his children are there, they're seeing how he's suffering towards his death. And this person sat back there and said, you know what, guys, if I actually started going through this, what options would I have if I wanted just to ease the pain of not just me, who is going anyway, but also the pain of my loved ones?
Right.
Can you guys allow me just to take a not allowed dose of painkillers, for example, and just commit suicide? Can you give that to me? I know that debate now came up and was like, all right, that is assisted suicide that you want us to participate in, would be arrested for murder, for manslaughter. Does the law in the country allow for such kind of things? If we compare with laws in other countries like the Netherlands and other countries where you are actually allowed, a medical doctor is allowed to listen and heed to the request of a patient or the next of kin and actually assist somebody to die. This is always a very, very heated debate globally because even in our constitution, the right to life is sacrosanct. And if you have this right to life, then at what point does a doctor determine or your relative determine that your right to life means that you can also, you have the right to end your own life?
To give it up, right.
And it brings in the whole conversation of the laws that we have, of the conversation about assisted suicide, of euthanasia. And I'm even seeing an opinion piece written here by a student of Kenya Institute of Mass Communication, which has been published by The Nation today. And this is Oscar Ochieng. It talks about, he says, I propose that Kenya follow the models of legislation from devolved economies such as, developed economies, I beg your pardon, such as Australia and the Netherlands to adopt and implement euthanasia and assisted suicide. This, of course, after wide consultations and possibly a referendum, while reflecting on the ethos of the various communities and putting in place measures to protect the practice from abuse or misuse. He says it's controversial. And he also uses that same argument. Somebody is sick. They have got into a place where it's end stage. They are about to die. Clearly, the doctors can see there's nothing much that we can really do to save this person's life. So what we do now is we just manage. What kind of management do we have in this country? What kind of facilities do we have that take care of people in that end stage? It's not just about managing pain, but also just managing them psychologically because they're going through a lot.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, look, it's an easy... Okay, no, I'm going to just not even use that word. But it is a more accepted method in certain parts of the world whereby the thinking is a lot more liberal and the thinking is a lot more open. Okay? There are very many European countries right now who practice medically assisted suicide or euthanasia, or what some people have even gone as far as calling mercy killing. But the reason is that this person is living a very painful, traumatic experience, and the likelihood of them making it out alive is very low. Their families are suffering, they are suffering. So after all this suffering, the person is going to eventually die. The family now experiences a loss that they could actually not have done anything about. Now, the loss that we're talking about, in as much as it's a loss of your loved one, it's also the loss of so much in terms of resources that you're not going to be able to get back. And these people then are going into a life of trying to catch up for a very, very long time. Some people take a very long time to recover. Truth be told, a lot of people actually don't recover. There was a story that was published about a month ago about a Kenyan woman who, by the way, is not the only one. There are many more stories of people who are living a very painful existence because of disease, and they're seeing their families go through the same. So this money that's being raised by family, they're not buying medicine with it anymore. They are buying a plane ticket, and they're being accompanied by members of their family, and they're going to some of these European countries, which in this story remain unnamed, where medically assisted suicide is legal.
Okay.
Having the procedure, and the bodies are then flown back to Kenya and buried. It is happening today. It is not something that is a myth. It is not something that maybe somebody has dreamt up. It is happening because it is the easier option for this person who's going through pain. It is the cheaper option for the rest of the family, who oftentimes is laden with this responsibility of taking care of this individual. And for a lot of people, it is the more freeing, comforting feeling that your loved one does not have to go through this pain anymore. Now,
but you have to transport them from
cheaper.
This country.
It is, imagine.
And I can imagine
cheaper.
by that time, this person is in so much pain, they're in end stage of their... So you have to use some medical ambulance to airlift them to that country. And still get them there, get a doctor to certify it, to conduct that operation, and then bring the body back. And you're saying all that is cheaper
Yes.
than taking care of this person
Yes.
until they die.
To fly them out to another country and do a procedure like a bone marrow transplant, for example, and to come back and then still have this person die. To fly them out for a second operation, whereby you have to now then do, blood transfusions and things like that. Or even to keep them in country and have these procedures done, which probably cost you about 3 times the amount of flying them out. Taking all of that into consideration about this young woman who was called Diana Akinyi, who saw that, and the members of her family saw that, they spent 430,000 shillings to have this done and her brought back, and she was buried at Langata Cemetery. They would have rather taken that option than to live through all of this, the pain and the constant suffering that she had to go through, and that which her family had to go through watching her suffer. And no amount of money that they spend would prolong her life. It would just manage the pain until then she died. And so she took the option. Like you said, suicide in this country, attempted suicide in this country is a crime. And this would be right along that it's right up the alley.
There's no law that allows you to do anything like this.
No, there's no law in Kenya that allows you. But by the time people are taking the option of going outside of the country to have it done, don't you think it's a big enough problem for it to be discussed?
It is.
Euthanasia is not something that just came about like that. I think in the US in the 70s, in the 1970s, is when it started being a conversation, because they saw a lot of people suffering from some diseases and they said, hold on a minute, why are we doing this? Why is this person living as a vegetable in so much pain, whereby there's the option of letting them go in peace? And so the 70s became a really hot period when this was discussed, until about the early 80s. Then was it now pushed through in terms of legislation, and it's now a thing in some states in the US whereby it is allowed. People travel to those states to have it done, and then they go back home. They're taking the option, the easiest option for them at that time, rather than see this suffering take place. Is it a conversation worth having?
I think it is. And I think it's about time that we started having that conversation and saying, let's consider legalizing euthanasia. Let's consider having that conversation. Let's consider even taking it to Parliament. Open it up. What is it that people who would say no be using as their reason for saying no? They'd have that reason of, you know what, this person, it's God who gave you life. Let God take life when he deems it fit. Okay. But also, there are others who would come and argue that no. We even traditionally and customarily, when somebody was killed, they were treated different. Somebody committed suicide, they were treated different when it comes to burial rights. Okay, so how do you now bring this one? Has this person been killed, or have they committed suicide? How are we going to treat them? But let's have that conversation. What is it that would make people feel no? I wouldn't want to do that. Would you want to go through this? I mean, would you want to go through all that pain? All that pain, and you're not your relative, you are unwell. You're at that point. There's so much pain, and you can clearly see. Even the doctors have told you there's nothing much. Oh, how many weeks have you been given? I've been given X number of months.
Listen to this. Just an excerpt from this story. She said she had researched about euthanasia online and she was going for it. By then, her hospital bill in Kenya had accumulated to 8.4 million shillings. And she knew that no matter how much she spent, she would still die. We refused and told her about the sanctity of life. So there you go. These are some of the reasons that people would give. The sanctity of life. We told her a miracle could happen. Again, the religious aspect. That's number 2. To say that, God is the one who then has the control over life. And that, again, the legal aspect. Another thing that you're looking at. That euthanasia was illegal in Kenya. And that no hospital in the country is going to agree to that. Her family refused. Although they knew her organs had failed. They knew that this is somebody who is basically not alive. But look at these 3 issues that they're looking at here, and they're saying that even as we see you suffering like this, those 3 issues, you're asking what would hold people back from having the conversation?
Those are the ones.
Those are the ones,
they
right
keep
there.
Popping.
They keep popping up.
It's from the religious angle to...
it's the religious angle, it's the legal angle, and then also, again, the moral angle that you're basically killing somebody, right?
Yeah.
So
what right do you have to kill someone?
What right do you have? Her condition got worse and she was taken to another hospital. Sometimes she would writhe in pain. She would not be able to speak. She asked every doctor that she saw to please turn off those machines. She wanted to die because the experience of life was more painful than even the thought of death. One day, when her elder brother was alone with her, she asked that she be taken to another country where euthanasia is legal. She said she had done her research and she was ready to die. She was persistent. Her family flew her to a European country that they preferred not to name. October 16th, 2017, she told her mother, father, brother, her brother, her mother, and her sister goodbye. And she said, thank you. Was it expensive flying all the way to Europe to die? They spent less than 500,000 shillings in total on transport for 3 of them. The actual procedure was paid for by activists that they had met on social media because she had joined some of these groups and was having the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Her entire bill to have all of this done and everybody come back and have her buried in Langata when the body was brought back was just over 1/10 of her hospital bill in the country.
Okay. And this is the
Do you
bill
see the
of
justification?
transporting her there?
Yes.
Getting the doctors paid?
Her mother, her brother went along with her.
And then bringing the body back home?
Yes. Is it a conversation worth having? Look at the numbness that lives are thrown into after the death of somebody they spent the last 5 years treating, traveling, going, coming back, procedure after procedure. This person has lived in pain for so long and then they die. Mm-hmm. You're left with a bill. You've borrowed, you've sold, you've mortgaged, you've done everything, and then this individual still dies. And through that entire process, they suffered to within an inch of their life in pain. You suffered seeing your loved one suffer. You suffered because you had to spend resources that you didn't even have. And then they go. And they're saying, why can't you let them go when you start to see the signs of this thing that's not going anywhere?
Yeah. At that point where it's clear that you can have a conversation with them, even at the final moment of death, you can actually have a moment where you say, this is you, goodbye.
Is it too tough a conversation to have? Are we not ready to even have that conversation?
Let's
and
have
then we're
that
link it to
conversation.
African traditional thinking, whereby we say, oh, come on, it's God who's going to take away life. Why are we now preempting the situation?
Let's have that conversation. Is it about time that we considered euthanasia in this country? Should we look at our laws and allow for euthanasia in this country? Medically assisted suicide for those cases that are terminally ill and it's clear that the person is at the point of death. 17 minutes after 9, let's take a look at the weather and then we'll take your calls. 0719 012 600.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. FM.
Hey, it's getting hot in here. The media has greatly contributed to the moral rot that we experience in this country.
I remember a senior politician telling me, point blank, nobody steals in the field, it's stolen in the granary. So my friend, if you're going to win an election, jipange kwa granary.
I think we are suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. Our violator and abuser is also our redeemer in our mind.
The whole political class, the whole political institution is rotten. It is based on ideals that cannot progress our country forward.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Japan, biotechnology, yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered. Mention our course, you will not fail to get it. Visit our website today on www.studyinjapan-africa.com.
All right. So sunny conditions in Nairobi today. We're going to see highs of 28. We're going to see highs of 26 in Nyeri. Sunny through the day as well. It's also going to be sunny in Nakuru. Highs of 30, lows of 12. Highs of 26 and lows of 12 in Eldoret. Sunny throughout today. It's also going to be sunny in Kisumu. Highs of 32 and lows of 19. Sunny in Kakamega. Highs of 32. 32 also the high in Mombasa. 31 in Malindi. Sunny throughout. In Kampala as well, going to highs of 30, 33 in Dar es Salaam, down to 26. 29 the high in Johannesburg, down to 15 today. 33 in Lagos. Light rain continues. It's going to be this way for most parts of the morning. It's also raining in Kinshasa. Highs of 32 today. We'll see highs of 16 in Beijing. Sunny throughout. It's still a bit chilly here and there, but the sun is out. Light rain now in Paris at 12. Highs of 14 and lows of 5. 5 the low in London. It's mostly cloudy at 11. And finally in New York, 7 degrees. It's cloudy. Highs of 21 and lows of 13.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Suicide for a close relative of yours who is terminally ill and is at that point where doctors have said there's nothing much more that they can do. So you go into palliative care. We don't have, how many hospice facilities do we have in this country?
Sheesh. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they can be counted, actually.
If you look at the major cities, major towns, they had a hospice, all right? But then they're not well funded, not well facilitated. They have not expanded over time. So you've got the Nairobi hospitals and others. That's where you're supposed to be looking at in terms of palliative care. This is taking care of you in your final days to have a comfortable life in your sunset years, okay?
Yeah.
And in sunset, in this particular case, not because of age, but because of a terminal illness. So somebody who has all that and they're at the point and they're thinking, okay, I am going to die. Would you, if they came and asked you, I want to go, would you want to have a conversation with them?
I don't think Africans are ready to have that conversation. And why do I say Africans? I think the open-mindedness, that I don't even have to call it liberal thinking, or open-mindedness.
Birth and death are treated
almost on the same, that you cannot play around with such things. So they even say, even if somebody is on their deathbed, let it be God who will take that life, and to have the conversation and say, okay, maybe we need to consider letting this person go. Look at the movies that we watched, especially the movies coming out of the West, when somebody had been, in such a poor state in war, for example, their legs had been trampled upon.
Yeah.
It's clear to this other soldier that this person is not going to make it. What do? Shot them.
Yep.
Not because they didn't love them anymore or because they wanted to see them go, but they realized living would be worse than actually dying. So they shot them. And it sounds really morbid and gruesome when you think about it. But from the point of thinking is, I'm actually giving this guy an out. I'm actually giving this individual a better option than living in the pain whereby they're going to go through a very terrible existence trying to stay alive. And I think we can draw the parallels between the two in these cases where people say, I'm not going to live through this. You really love me. How are you going to see me?
Let me go.
Let me go. I'm
the
done.
same
My
Africans
body
that
is
you're talking
finished.
about would have a problem with what veterinarians usually do, putting down an animal. So yeah, this is a dog. Your dog is very sick, and you're like, all right, so let's put it down. Let's inject it so it can die. And Africans have a problem with that. They're like, no, let it die. Let me not be the one who killed it. So people have there's that complete.
There's a dance. There's a dance that we do with the ideas of death and life. Even you can see in the ways in which we celebrate life, especially in West Africa, the celebration of life, naming ceremony, all these things that happen, and then also death. Even the way in which our burials, even here, are so flamboyant. We talk about, and it's a whole thing. So the relationship that we have with life and death, to begin to have the conversation that you be directly involved in how somebody's life ends, nobody wants to touch it.
Okay. So someone is asking you, don't be directly involved. All I'm just saying is, when I fall sick, if I fall sick and I'm diagnosed with a disease, I shall fill up a form and say, if I get to a certain point, I am okay with my life being taken. And that job will be left to a medical doctor a professional. You, my family, you, my friends, it's not your decision, it is not your action. You can still come and bury me and celebrate.
I think it's a conversation.
You can still do all those things. Come and say, you know, Eric was a very good man. Or those things that you want to say. Come and say them, all right? But let a doctor make that determination that he has reached that point where he had said, if I reach this point and the law allows it, then I can take his life.
I mean, think about the conversations that you have with medical practitioners by the time somebody actually does give up their ghost. And they say, yeah, well, this one had just been living on a string and a prayer for the last how many months. They knew a long time ago that this one had already gone. So why keep them alive? They're racking up a bill. Their loved ones don't have a life. Why do it? Why prolong this pain and suffering? And I think we should. Just the same way we had a couple of weeks ago, we had this conversation about why are we dealing with these heavy, flamboyant burials, and when the person was alive, you were not able to even cater. Why are we dealing? It's something that we had latched onto, culture, tradition, over and over again. Now to start to have the conversations where we're pulling ourselves away from that thing that we had stuck to for so long. It's a difficult conversation to have. But if you went down to the heart of it, I think most people, when they think about it, will say, actually, you know what? It's something that we could consider. It's something that we could consider. And you say that somebody had a bill of 10 million. 5 million of that came about when this person actually could not speak.
Yep.
Did not even recognize any of us.
And they were still rocking up a bill.
Yeah.
5 million shillings, and you've just paid, you've taken them from this country, you've taken them to another country. And the patient doesn't go to the other country by themselves.
No.
There's somebody who's sitting there with them and staying with them. So there's all that expense, and then the person dies. And clearly, a doctor could have told you, from this point on, there's nothing much more that can be done.
So would we rather say you keep this person alive? Because the thing is that, again, I'm going back to that tradition and culture. Say, you killed your person. That's what you did. You killed your person. Why not allow them to live and let nature take its course?
Yep.
You killed your person, and that's what you will hear that a lot would say.
What kind of a Christian are you?
Why don't you allow?
Why
just
don't you allow?
it?
Just pray for him.
So would you prefer
happen.
that period of suffering, or would you say, let's look at the option of saying, let them go early?
So join this conversation now, 0719-012-600, or on our social media. Is it about time we accepted and started legalizing euthanasia? This is medically assisted suicide for terminally ill patients. Should we accept to end the pain and suffering of terminally ill patients through medically assisted suicide? 0719-012-600. Also, you can share your thoughts on social media. Let's have that conversation today. Yes, no, why? Why would you like us to have this conversation? Why would you say no to this kind of a conversation? I mean, what kind of misgivings are these that we would have? I'm seeing already somebody saying, what? At what? At what?
How can you even?
I can't even contemplate having such a conversation. But the reality is we actually, many patients at some point get to that point. Many patients, maybe they're not able to talk to you. They are there, they're terminally ill, they are completely sick, and maybe they're just thinking, you know what, just end this pain and suffering. I need an out. I need a way in which I can just enjoy peace and little pain. 0719-012-600, 29 minutes after 9. Let's take a break, see what's happening on the roads, and then we pick your calls. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
Japan, biotechnology, yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes. You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered. Mention our course, you will not fail to get it. Visit our website today on www.studyinjapan-africa.com.
They are smart, they are funny, and unfailingly entertaining. They are the adults in the room, and they are here to help you be the best adult you can be.
Just to be very honest with each other here, not all of us are going to get tall, dark, and handsome. Not all of us are going to get 0.5s or chotaras. Some of us have to learn the short guys. Some of us have to learn those many people. Some of us have to learn older men or younger men.
Spice.
Don't ask your partner if he or she enjoyed it. I think the approach should always be, if she's enjoyed the journey, she will let you know.
Yeah.
She'll tell you, hey, maze, your bus is big. Mi sijaipanda basi kubwa kama hii. Juu hata hii basi, hiyo mafuta tulieka yote, imetuleta hapa vizuri. Hii basi iko na nguvu. Hii basi iko na nguvu.
Spice.
Now into a relationship, it becomes like you've stopped your life, and then now me, I am your life. You see, like, what happened to your life? What happened to you? What did you used to do?
And women are guilty about that. No,
is your wife listening to the show?
Whether it is matters of the heart, finances, or traffic.
Okay, so unfortunately there was an accident this morning that took place on the Northern Bypass. We have to look out for this one just when we said everything was going all right. Then let's look at the bypass from Ruiru. Accident at the Ngomongo Zimmerman Junction just before Maruroi. Traffic is at a standstill now, just when everything was going okay. And this seems to be a bad one, guys. It doesn't look pretty good. From where we're looking, so if you're headed in that direction, the bypass at Ruiru, accident at Ngomongo Zimmerman Junction just before Maruroi. So please be careful. You're headed in that direction. Coming from there, that's what is lying ahead. Apart from that, we're still seeing heightened levels of traffic on Mombasa Road. Expect this for some time today. All right, let's talk in a bit through the day and see what it looks like. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. That's how you can talk to us if you need to. All right, okay.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay. Comments on social media. Is it time to accept and end the pain and suffering of terminally ill patients through medically assisted suicide or euthanasia?
Oh, various, I think. Jonathan says, well, according to the religion that I'm subscribed to, it's clear that the only one who's to decide when and how to take life is the supreme being.
Mm-hmm.
And though I have got no problem with that being adopted in our constitution, I wouldn't consider adopting it because of the religion. Told you, that's one of the things.
So he's okay with it being legalized, but he wouldn't
because of the religion. But
All
you
right.
see, already there's that thinking in the mind that, okay, wait a minute, this is something that can actually, but then I don't know how to separate it from what I believe in. Religiously.
Right.
Thomas says, doctors need to be honest to the family of a terminally ill patient instead of giving false hope which subsequently leads to unnecessary expenditure on treatment. The pain is sometimes unbearable because of poor palliative care in Kenya. Euthanasia can be an option in such cases. Wow.
There's poor palliative care in Kenya. There's now what doctors feel, okay, if I tell the next of kin the whole truth, am I doing them justice? Am I doing my patient? Because the person who's your client is the patient. Am I being truth to my oath and to my patient? So should I tell them everything? And
I think so. Tell it as it
and
is.
Thomas feels that, sometimes you're just giving them false hope. Anything can
let's
happen.
We can try this option,
we can try this
the
option.
other one. But you know the truth, from a medical standpoint, this person is as good as gone, say it. Sometimes that's what you need to know, that things are actually very, very bad here. Then let's know how to deal with it from there.
Don't lie to them. If you consider how people even react to idea of cremation, right? Who is it that told us that the only way to deal with the departed is by burying them 6 feet under? And at what point did we actually adopt this as the standard? So when someone else now comes and says, all right, us in our religion, in our custom, we cremate. Guys are like, you burn your person.
See, the thing is, it's because it's an alternate view and because it has never come close to your reality, so it seems odd or strange. But if you give people some time to tinker about with the idea in their minds, sometimes it's, okay, hold on a minute. The first reaction is shock and horror. How would you do that? Burn my person alive? Or rather,
Not
burn
alive.
my person after they've died? And you think, okay, wait a minute. As you play around with the idea in your head, you think, all right, maybe it's something that we could actually consider. The initial reaction is something of shock because you've never had to deal with that option before. But as you begin to play with it in your mind, look at this story that we've read about this young girl who got buried.
Yep.
What happened? A tenth of the bill that they had in hospital is what they spent in giving this woman peace.
But what was the first reaction of her folks?
Absolutely not.
Especially the mother.
Absolutely not.
They were like, how can
killing
you
my daughter.
even think about that? Yeah. We're here with you. We're going to fight.
Yeah. And
we
then
will
she's
fight.
begging.
Don't give up.
But to the point where somebody is begging to die, can you imagine the amount of pain that they're going through?
It's a lot of pain.
I mean.
It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain. And it's a point where they think maybe this is where let's go to the phone line 0719-012-600. Our question this morning is with regards to euthanasia. It's illegal in the country. There are some countries that have legalized this. But is it time as Kenya we accepted to end the pain and suffering of our terminally ill patients through this practice, medically assisted suicide? Dr. Mike is on the line. Good morning, doctor.
Hi, Eric. How have you been?
We are well. And you? How have you been?
So far, so good, loving life and what it throws at me.
Are you catching it or dodging?
It depends on what comes.
Okay.
I decide to catch, I decide to dodge.
All right.
Interesting topic there. In practice in Kenya, by the way, euthanasia is not legalized. And as such, I've seen a lot of families go through serious suffering because from where I sit, a simple heart racing won't allow me to disconnect that tube. A simple heart racing won't allow me to stop those machines. It doesn't matter how how expensive it is to keep that patient on that ICU bed. And some of these beds in this city go for 100,000 per day.
Right.
It won't allow. I'm not allowed. But now to your question, is it time? The Kenyan we have right now is not the same Kenyan we have 10 years ago. In fact, right now, see, we are cremating. I would rather we open this thing up. Because as we are talking right now, I know of a family whose patient was in ICU for 2 months, has accumulated a bill of close to 12 million. Cumulatively, their assets cannot reach 3 million.
Oh, goodness.
So on top of the pain that they have gone through, seeing their patient, seeing their mother on that bed, again, they have now to sit down and start planning for a burial. And if the patient came in brain dead, you get. But because the heart has a rhythm,
there's no doctor who can make it. Yes.
You won't, because again, the Kenyan citizen we have right now is so litigation. You'll disconnect that tube. She'll tell you, okay, fine, go ahead. Let her rest in peace.
Next.
Then the next thing you see
you're in court.
Is your entry.
Yeah.
An entry, there is some demand letter of sorts.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen. So go back to Parliament, amend that law.
So do you think people would start embracing it?
If they embrace cremation, And besides, you see, you look at the cost-benefit analysis here. If the cost of a bed for a vegetative patient in an ICU bed is 100,000 shillings for bed only.
Wow.
And if you go to a public hospital, is around you need a deposit of around 100,000. So that translates to 20,000 a day if you count plus cost of drugs and consultation. Anytime that physician comes to the bed and touches that file, there is a charge to it. So, in my view, I feel it is important that we reconsider euthanasia as a legal medical practice where we can just put these patients to rest. Some of them I always see, and I even tell their next of kin, we are doing in fact, if you go to a hospital and they tell you, we are doing our best, but it's not promising, chances are high that patient
you've been told.
is gone.
Consider that you've been told the person is gone. Thomas is saying, Dr. Mike, Thomas is saying that doctors need to be honest to the family of a terminally ill patient, and instead of giving that false hope, which subsequently leads to unnecessary expenditure, just say from the very beginning that don't say at you, there's some chance. Just say there's nothing else that can happen here. This person is dead or this person is dying.
But as I said earlier, a simple heart rhythm by itself tells you the patient is not dead.
Okay.
So there's no one who will tell you the patient is dead. Let's start from there. What they'll tell you is, we are trying our best. We are on the first line of management, and that is an ICU case. If they start telling you we are on the fourth level of management, then after that we are exhausted. Just know the patient is gone. But there is no way by medical law, in practice, and even in legalese, that a doctor will come and tell you there is no hope. Unless it is properly documented. And this is where now I always say, as medics, we are really losing. We are losing the battle. Why? A lot of these, very few practices in Kenya adapt that psychosocial model where the whole family of the person who is, let's say, terminally ill, come and they get a group support, a group psychosocial support. It happens a lot in the Western world. So now the next of kin is prepared adequately. But look at the patient-doctor ratio here. Will I have time to sit down for 2 hours with a group with next of kin of patients? And I have another 50 patients waiting for me. And that's my KPI to see them. So we are so thinly stretched across so that no one will ever really take. Because you see, counseling a mind that is supposed to lose a loved one is not a 5 minutes HIV testing counseling.
No.
It is a serious process, a serious undertaking that requires resources, right from the senior most consultant up to the psychological counselor, the counseling psychologist. So the thinly stretched situation we are in will not allow, like now, walk into any public hospital. Will you even have time to even have a word with the consulting physician? You will not. They'll just send you to X-ray lab, then they come, the results, they tell you admit. At most of times, those patients will not even know what the patient is being admitted for. That's the thing. So there are many challenges within the system in Kenya to allow us
to do this,
to prepare this next of kin to the death of their loved ones, and the legal framework won't allow us to save the next of kin the hassle and bustle they go through.
But then,
actually easing the suffering of this terminal patients.
Dr. in those other, even in the developed countries, it's not all of them that have legalized euthanasia.
Sure.
What is the argument against it in those countries?
It's both cultural and religious. But
Same.
It doesn't even make any medical basis to put a patient on life support for 2 years.
And
it is purely cultural and religious
do the
and political.
do the medical professionals in those countries speak out?
I don't know. You know, I may not really speak on their behalf, but from where we sit as medicals, and even if we jump aside and say in the veterinary practice, it is common there. But when it comes to the
to a human being, it's different.
Human beings, they have attached culture, religion, politics, in even science-based facts. Because I can't tell you, God forbid, Eric, you have your person in a vegetative state in one of these ICUs. My friend, you'll never recover from that cost. And trust me, no doctor will come and tell you the patient is dead. Or they may tell you he may not. We are trying our best, but the chances are next to none.
That's very true.
So you, as long as you go and find that the patient woke up a little bit and had a cup of tea, that is the only thing you'll know that the patient is doing well. But underneath the details,
there are many.
No doctor will come and do a euthanasia in this land called Kenya.
Unless the law is changed.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Asante sana. Amani.
Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Duke.
Good morning, Amani.
How are you guys today?
Good.
Well.
A hot topic.
It is hard, eh?
It's a very hard one.
Yes, it is.
I think I agree with you, my dear princess. That we cannot be murdering people in the name of goodness knows what.
Wow.
Yeah, euthanasia is basically means a mercy killing. There's no mercy killing of a human being. Let's be serious. Yeah, it's contrary to the actual fact.
What fact?
The fact that a human being cannot be killed and then you call it mercy.
Okay.
Because you're killing them deliberately. You're taking injections or chemicals and
or switching off a machine.
At the request,
or
what's the word I'm looking for? At the request or the okay of the individual. They're
Sweetheart,
actually the ones who are begging you to do this.
Sweetheart, if you call me today and say, please kill me, I'm tired of life, then I say, oh yeah,
but here they are, and they're dealing in
this
this situation whereby they're feeling so much pain.
You've requested it.
Yeah.
And I say, well, she's requested it, and poor thing, her life is so miserable, let me kill her. Absolutely not. It may be your desire. We're not doubting that. But that is not the solution to the problem.
What is the solution?
The solution is to give palliative care. That's what it's all about.
In Kenya, right now.
And can we just improve that as opposed to giving a solution that is deadly?
Okay.
That's killing human beings?
So what kind of palliative care would you be able to give? This is somebody who has already gone past stage 4 cancer, or even like the case where Dr. Mike was telling us, a case where you've come in, you are brain dead, there's only a faint heartbeat. So you're connected to machines in a hospital, in an ICU bed. You're there for 2 months. So what are we saying?
Okay. I'll give you a story, a true story.
Okay.
2. Okay. One here and one in I think it was the U.S. In the U.S., there was this young man who had a terrible car accident. He was basically dead. His body was broken in bits and pieces, and I think part of his brain was also smashed in. It was over. And his mother was an intensive care nurse, very highly specialized. So when the hospital knew it was her son, they called her immediately. And they said to her, this is what it is. Please come. And she decided, okay, remove the machine, switch them off. There is no need. Using her technical expertise. And this is what had also told her. So she agreed with them totally. The only reason why they didn't do it immediately was because the boy's son, he was like 18 or 21 years old, was out of town on business. So the mother said, let's just wait until he comes, because I've already told him. So he's coming and he's flying back. So let him come in and then say goodbye to his son, and then we'll switch it off.
Right.
That delay made all the difference. That boy, miraculously, the heartbeat just, kicked in big time.
Okay.
He was dead. He was gone. But because they just waited for that father to come, things changed for that boy and that family forever.
Okay.
So a human being cannot definitively say this person is going to die. Based on their medical knowledge, yes, they can think that, and we're not going to discredit that. But that is not enough. There's the Almighty God who decides who is going to die and who's going to live.
Okay.
Let's never forget that.
But
Okay?
let's also
Now,
look at
in
the other side,
Nairobi,
Amani. Okay, give us the example of Nairobi, yes.
Okay, Nairobi. Somebody I know, or maybe more than one, they had gone into the hospital and they had cancer. Just, I think you were talking about it earlier with somebody else. And he had gone late. And so there was nothing much they could do. They tried the best. He was in there for goodness knows how long. The bill was astronomical, just impossible, could not be afforded. He had used all his medical policy insurance, which was very high. It still wasn't able to pay it all. And so the doctors just said, you know what? We can't do any more for this person. You're just spending money for nothing. What we will do, we'll give you a whole package in terms of what to do for him at home.
Okay.
Okay, go home, do A, B, C, D. Here, we can do nothing more. You just put it. You're just going to spend a lot of money for nothing.
More. Yeah.
So they were very genuine. So when a doctor tells you what they know, and they're genuine about it, believe me, all these ridiculous bills that people are spending would not be there.
Okay.
But some families will not listen.
This is the financial burden for that person. When they went home, did they get this miracle as well?
No. That one eventually died. But what I'm saying is, the doctors also have to speak truth to the family and say, look, according to our medical expertise, we cannot do anything more than we've done already. All right? The patient is not improving. So we recommend take him home, do A, B, C, D. Continue to help him, continue to ease the pain, ease the suffering. That is your best option. So, yes, we can keep him here. We have no problem.
So here is where the question now comes in, Amani. So at this point, after this patient has gone through this and the doctors have said there's not much more we can do, just go and stay with them home and offer them that palliative care. At that point, can that person opt to request for euthanasia?
No, they cannot opt.
Look at how much this family has spent, and this is just looking at it financially. As you let me finish, this is just looking at it financially. Imagine the emotional anguish that the entire family has gone through with the patient in hospital, with now taking care of their patient at home on a daily basis. Is that not something to also consider?
There's always counseling. Counseling is there. Give people what they need. Don't kill. Give people what they need. There are other options. Killing is so definite.
Right.
And should be any doubt that this person could have lived, you will live with it for the rest of your life, regretting and totally messed up.
Right.
Just let the person die. The person can decide they want to die, but not that somebody else kills them. They can say, take me off the machine. I'm done with this. And they want to just die peacefully without all that rigmarole. I knew somebody, an elderly man, who told his family, look, the day you have taken the hospital and put me on machines for me to live, please let it be. Let me remain at home, do whatever it is you can for me. He told his family in advance, do whatever it is you can do for me at home. If I die, it is okay.
It's okay.
But he doesn't want to be stuck on a machine, and that's how he is surviving.
Thank you.
But he's not telling you to kill him. He's saying, take care of me as best as you can at home. That's it.
Thank you, Amani.
You see, those are the options, the good options, the godly options.
Thank you, Amani. Have a lovely day.
You do. Take good care.
Matthew in Nakuru, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
What do you say to this?
I can honestly disagree with what Amani was saying because it's easier said than done. I've been in India 3 times with my mom, and in the course of that particular period, I saw people who were in situations that Amani would want to say that it is easy. someone is in a coma, this person cannot make decisions. This person cannot tell you to either switch off the machine or keep it on.
Yeah.
You know, and you are cruding, the bill is going up by the hour.
Yeah.
You know, and you're talking of not some small amount of money. You know, you're in life support every other time. You know, a minimum of 100,000 shillings a day. That is why you would accrued 8 millions of shillings over the period of someone's illness.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay. Sorry to say, but I would disagree with what she was saying. It's totally unrealistic to say that let this person make the decision if they want to be alive or not. Okay? It's painful. It's draining psychologically to those who are taking care of a particular person. Yes. A situation whereby I have to start planning how I'm going to sell a parcel of land, how I'm going to offset some assets to take care of someone who is definitely going to die.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's so painful. By the way, much as someone would want to say that it's that patient's decision, it's not.
Thank you.
The overwhelming burden on that family is not something you can even start talking about.
And it takes you for a very long time to recover, both
actually, like she was saying,
and physically and
like she was saying that you know, someone would say, take care of me the best way you can. You're in a vegetative state. You're in a coma. How would you tell your family that? You're not even able to communicate. You know, and whoever is taking care of this particular patient, they're not having it easy.
They're also sick, basically.
Yes, psychologically, this is someone who is at the verge. They're actually hanging on a string. You
Matthew,
know, psychologically.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Asante sana. Let's hear from Robert, who's also in Nakuru. Robert, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so my points are two. So my religious perspective, no, a big no, yes. Because if the scriptures say so, now normally we say no. The other now perspective is if now we consider things were a bit well, maybe for our country, Kenya, people can afford health is affordable on the cheaper prices. People are eating the right diet. I'm thinking that maybe the disease might be in a fewer rates as it is right now. We'll be witnessing some very fewer cases. And meaning that if the lives of people are improved, the government did its job, and we are able maybe to afford the hospital, maybe even the hospitals that are well equipped, we have good infrastructures. Maybe we'll be having fewer cases. People are eating well. On the other hand, we have the proper equipment to use in our hospitals and cheaper healthcare. So it would ease the pressure.
So it's better to improve the healthcare system.
Yeah, because I think the people will think something else instead of now thinking of euthanasia. They will think maybe because we can afford in this hospital.
We can take them to a hospice.
Right.
Thank you very much, Robert.
Yep.
Asante sana. That's a hot one.
It is, and a difficult one to have in terms of conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Many things guiding those thoughts, from religion to morality to legal, medical, across board.
Yeah. To financial, to emotional, to everything else. Just like Matthew was saying, it's a painful thing as a person who's taking care of this person who's unwell. If you think about that former Prime Minister of Israel, Ariel Sharon, had a stroke in January 2006. He was in a permanent vegetative state, but they did not switch off his machines until 2014.
8 years.
When the heart just went on its own volition. 8 years, they have not talked to this man. They have not heard from this guy. He is in a vegetative state. What was the point?
What was the point? All of that.
They could afford it.
What if it was somebody who couldn't?
Yeah.
There's always beware of wolves who come in sheep clothing.
Yes,
it's that one. I know initially you want to talk about sheep dressed as a wolf.
Yes.
I wish there are those ones, but let's talk about that another day.
Okay. Thank you very much for tuning into the Situation Room today. Say goodbye. Say what time Monique is coming.
Okay, so have a good day, folks. Don't forget, don't get off SpiceFM because Monique comes in to take you home on the Spice Drive from 3 to 7. And she has some fantastic stuff lined up for you, I'm sure. Record Rumble, Dear Monique, many things that you can talk to her about. And then she's going to take off. Then the adults in the room, Emmanuel, Eric, and the Duchess of Ikolomani, are going to take you into the room with the adults until 10 p.m. And then we will see you again tomorrow morning at 6.
At 6 a.m. Have a lovely day, folks, and thank you very much for tuning in. Nduoko and Eric Latif wishing you a good day. It's now 10 o'clock.